Oh no, they give him so much respect. He's going! Jensen's going in! Oh, he actually gets in Meteos with the smite down on Elder.
Smite picked up there by Spike. Scare didn't even need the smite, and the fight is on. Nearly a round of time. Oh my gosh, just kidding. Takes one down. Blocks the shot. Dark is amazing.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Monday Night League, where I chat with CLG's latest mid laner, and Azael shares some insight on League's strongest top lane tank burst assassin, all before we jump into champion select for game number 1. I only have one person by my side. You will never see Crawley again.
He's done.
Yep.
This is my desk now, and no one else will have other disagreeable opinions.
There's no room for anyone else on this giant desk,
Yeah.
that's for sure. Just our two big heads here. But how are you and your head doing?
Great. I'm excited for the games today. I'm excited to see if Team Liquid will finally start winning and be the team that we all think they are.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have that question. And also, don't worry, it probably will be in later. But in the meantime, we do have some standings to look at because things are shaking up a bit once more. TSM and Dignitas currently tied at 5-4 heading into their games today, but Evil Geniuses at 4-5 and Team Liquid just below them in 9th place, a place that many would have never expected to see them.
Yep, and that's what I was saying. I'm waiting for the other foot to drop. Usually you mean that in a negative way. I mean that in a hopefully positive way. I am waiting for the 4-time champions to show up. And it's halfway through the season, it's time.
Do you think it will happen today?
I keep saying yes, and I'm going to keep saying yes because I own their stock.
Well, in the meantime, though, I know that he's got all his stock to worry about and everything over there. But in the interest of learning more about the game, as many of us wish to do, Brawley is standing by to show off the intricacies of the 8-minute lane swap.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brawley, and today I want to talk to you about the 8-minute Herald swap. The first few weeks of LCS, you saw this swap happen where the bot laners who had priority would push the wave and recall to then group towards the Herald. I wanted to talk a bit in depth of why it's happening and when to look for it. This play is really interesting to me because why do this swap? Well, for one, it doesn't require many steps to pull off. The only requirement is that it's initiated by a bot lane having priority over the other, either through laning or a skirmish. And two, it's a way to accelerate the game out of laning phase by forcing a fight around an objective. And then three, it poses a problem for the enemy team, and it forces them to choose a solution to your play, and they better hope they chose the right one. Now, let's look at some of the swaps and what the enemy team does to counter this play. And in this first replay, it's my favorite clip. It shows C9 having priority bot lane, so they're able to swap first, and FlyQuest correctly responds to the Herald swap by blind matching. Note that FlyQuest does not know where C9's bot lane is going and have to make a guess that the swap is happening. This is currently the proper counterplay to the swap and simply just mirror their movements. However, in this clip, C9's advantage from bot lane and mid lane allows them to take the Herald before FlyQuest is in position to contest. And in a game that was relatively even, C9 were able to use their tempo to take a high-value objective with low risk. And hypothetically, let's say FlyQuest had enough tempo to match it this game. Well, If you look at the composition, C9 would be able to take this fight very successfully with Kiana and Rumble compared to the Diana and Aatrox on the other side. So even in this situation, C9 would be setting up the game to favor their composition strengths. Now that you can see the power of this play, let's take a look at how other teams react to the swap. Now, this next replay is my favorite clip. This time we see C9 with priority bot lane after a skirmish, and this time swapping both top and bot laners. Note, C9 has a big advantage with level 6 on their AD carry and jungle compared to the level 5 of Dignitas' players. Dignitas predicts this swap, but tries something slightly different than FlyQuest in our last example. Huni actually stays top as well instead of matching the Aatrox bot lane. This maneuver from Huni puts Dignitas in a particular pickle. They are now on a timer where they have a temporary numbers advantage and need to use this advantage to secure the Rift Herald before C9 can collapse. But while Dignitas is busy taking damage and hitting the Herald, C9 is able to juggle aggro in this fight, and the skill and levels of C9 are able to outplay the situation and take Herald for themselves. This was not the correct counterplay to the swap, and instead Dignitas should have sent Huni to the bot lane and continue a standard laning phase and just abuse GP's global ultimate instead of forcing an unfavorable fight. Now, this next replay is my favorite clip. This time we'll see Team Liquid's choice to initiate a swap and follow how FlyQuest's reaction play pans out. Once Liquid swaps both their top and bot laners, FlyQuest chooses not to mirror, but instead send their support to roam and leaves their AD carry in the bot lane alone against Impact. In another even gold game, Team Liquid is able to easily take the Herald with their numbers advantage. Again, this response was not the correct play, and it puts FlyQuest even further behind this game. Look at that Herald go. Now, this play is not a requirement to accelerate your game. In this final clip, which is not my favorite, it's just okay, TSM has priority in both the top, mid, and bot lanes. And instead of their bot lane pushing and swapping top, they decide to shove all their respective lanes and take the Herald uncontested. Now, hopefully this clears up any questions you had about when and why LCS teams are swapping lanes for Rift Herald. So thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Thank you, Prolly. That was my favorite clip, too. But in the meantime, for all of you at home, MasterCard is giving away a trip to the Spring Finals. There are 2 ways to win. Either purchase RP using your MasterCard or save that card in the League client. Both ways automatically enter you to win, so make sure you get that set up during the break. And on the other side, I sit down with Pobelter to discuss his return to the LCS. Welcome back to Monday Night League, where I am joined by CLG's newest mid laner, Pobelter. Hey, you have graced us with your presence. How are you doing today? Right in your first week of LCS?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm really happy to be back.
Yeah, I can imagine. And before we get into some of those excited feelings that you may have, I want to take a trip back in time to the off season. Some of this was discussed originally in the Team Liquid release video when you decided to join them as a coach, but what was your thought process when you did that instead of going into academy?
So I was kind of weighing out all the options that I had, and it seemed like the best option to join Team Liquid because I thought it would be really good to gain a little bit of perspective as a coach rather than as a player, which is what I've been doing for like 9 or 10 years at this point, right? So I think instead of spending a little bit of time in academy, it would have been better to view it as a coach, especially working with players and coaches who I really respect and already know very well at Team Liquid, like, you know, Kane, Doublelift, Impact, everyone is, I think, really good. So yeah, I think that was the best choice for me in the end.
So you are with an organization with which you have a lot of history. You've been approached by an organization with which you also have history. We don't get that insight. So talk us through a bit of that process. How did this even come about and that decision to come back for this team?
Yeah, so it was Monday afternoon, and I had just been playing solo queue the whole day in my underwear, chilling in my apartment.
The only way to do it.
Yeah, and then I had like a couple missed calls, and then just like a message saying like, "Hey, it's me, the general manager for CLG. Just wanted to know if you had a second to chat." So I was just like, all right, I know what this is. And then got on the call, drove over to the CLG facility like an hour later, met all the coaches, all the management, all the players, and talked it out with everyone. And then it moved really fast because they wanted to make change happen pretty fast. And scrims were starting the very next day. So played scrims the next day, and then like the very next day after that, I signed a contract through 2021, I think. Yeah, 2021. So it moved really, really fast, yeah.
And speaking of moving fast and just movement in general, from mid lane to coaching to jungle, back to mid lane, a lot of adaptability required here. So what has that been like?
It was really fun. Probably like some of the most fun I've had being a pro. Being able to do all these different things and viewing the game from so many different perspectives, I think really broadened how I can perceive the game now. And I think that's kind of a unique thing that I have now because there's not many LCS players who went through that.
Yeah, and that's one interesting aspect. So you're talking about that uniqueness. And here you have really a hefty task. They've brought you in as the fresh breath with not the greatest scoreline going into it. Do you feel any of that pressure kind of being this white knight brought in, or is it a bit more relaxed than it seems?
Yeah, so when I first came on, the CLG score is 1-7, right? And I was actually really amped to play in LCS again. I was feeling really confident. And then I was like, yeah, it's just going to be like an anime. I'm going to come in. We're going to like 2-0 the weekend. We're going to give C9 their first loss. And CLG is going to make a sick comeback. And then we instantly lost like both our games this last weekend. So it wasn't great. But yeah, obviously there's a lot of hard work that goes into it. Realistically, probably couldn't expect to come in and like turn everything around and be the hero right off the bat. But I think, again, with the coaching experience that I had on Team Liquid, I can help identify a lot of the team's problems that maybe they were having trouble identifying and then give feedback in a way that helps everyone out.
Interesting. Then what do you think is a more valuable asset that you offer? Is it your mid lane performance or the fact that you feel like you have this additional insight now?
I think definitely just me as a player. Just I can play good. So that is definitely the key point. But yeah, it's just like a side bonus.
Well, and I'll take you off the hook a little bit. You're talking about you went to, again, C9 and FlyQuest. Yeah, they didn't end up how you wanted, but first and now second seed. It's really difficult to assess how you feel about your own personal performance when you're in that vacuum with the team performance. So how do you compare how you're feeling now just in the mid lane compared to last time you were on the LCS stage, regardless of the state of the actual league?
I don't know. I feel good. I'm really confident, as I've always been. Yeah, I'm just... For the most part, I've always been really confident in how I play, even when my team is doing well or if the team is doing badly. I think last weekend I didn't play spectacular, but also I was kind of just thrust into the middle of it. So I think with a little more time, my performance is also going to improve, and then we can start picking up some wins.
One of the interesting things, you being back on CLG and having achieved a championship with them before, I think a lot of people forget that it was only one split that you were actually with them then.
Yeah.
So does it feel like you have this significant connection to the organization because of that, or is it a blip compared to all of this journey that you've had?
like maybe a little. CLG was the first team that I won LCS with, but also all the players are different, and for the most part, on the company side, all the management and all the coaches are different, so it doesn't really feel very much the same. But yeah, I guess there is that small tie.
Now, when you're coming into this position, you are replacing an import, and there's a lot of discussion around the importance of the import slot. And earlier on within the split, Golden Glue had actually remarked in an interview specifically about the pressure he felt as an NA mid laner and a representative within the LCS. Do you share any of that sentiment?
I don't know if I feel any pressure because of it, but I do feel kind of prideful, I guess, of it, that I'm like, for whatever reason, there aren't that many NA mids, but of them, there is me, and of them, I've been fairly successful.
I like that. That's a nice positive way to kind of really channel that positioning. And another tap into your experience, I just wanted to get your thoughts on the fact that you've had experience at the bottom being in teams that have been relegated. You've had your experience at the top, multiple championships under your belt. How does the wide spectrum of that experience contribute to what you have to offer to the LCS that maybe other players can't?
I think I'm really good at keeping a level head because of that, because yeah, I've been at the very highest tops, I've been at the very lowest lows, so yeah, I can kind of just keep my cool even in really tough situations. Even though the team's having a hard time right now, I think I'm able to like channel some positive energy and like, yeah, I'm like the team's cheerleader right now, kind of.
Well, I would say, Pole Belter, it's been a pleasure talking to you here ahead of all that is to come in the LCS. And for everybody at home, we do have more for you as well. So we're going to go ahead and turn to a break. The Tundras of Summoner's Rift have a new predator entering the fray, but will they become the alpha? Pastry Time explores that in this edition of Wild LCS.
In the wilds of the LCS, no breed is more cunning, agile, and deadly than the Great Dane. Sleek, powerful predators, they are often seen stalking their prey in pairs, despite being just as deadly in isolation. Whether lurking in the cool shadows of the forest fronds, or sprinting full force across the great plains of Runeterra, the Great Dane is well equipped for every encounter. Once a rarity in these parts, their numbers have grown steadily throughout the seasons as they sought out their fellow brethren to build strength and security. They now roam across all the various ecosystems within the LCS wilds, their population increasing each season. But for as long as the pack has expanded, there has been no question as to which is the alpha. Until now. Another seeks dominion among the many, bold, independent, and of the largest size ever recorded here in the wild. A new apex predator threatens the law of the land. Those who have spotted this creature note its ferocity and sheer strength, always ready to pounce upon its enemies, particularly in the central regions of the LCS. As a new hunter crests the horizon, we'll have to wait and see what havoc this new Dane can wreak, for no pathways are ever safe in the jungles of the wild LCS.
Welcome back to Monday Night League, where we're gearing up for Team Liquid versus Dignitas in game number 1. But first, if you catch yourself wanting to know how to better pilot League's most recent tear in the top lane, let's send it over to Azael for an Ornn breakdown.
Hey there. Do you like winning League of Legends? Do you like your opponents losing League of Legends? Do you like unironically being able to say, we're scaling, while down 10,000 gold, and have your teammates believe you? Well, Ornn may just be the champion for you. We've been seeing a ton of Ornn in pro play, and I'm going to talk a little bit about why this champion is so damn popular and so damn good. It is incredibly difficult to dive. It has a lot of winning matchups, but even in the difficult ones, even if you are behind, you are able to defend yourself under the turret. You are able to turn around and look for kill potential in some of these awkward to defend against dives. He has a lot of matchups where he can win, but even in the ones that are difficult, your wave clear is strong. You're able to be, incredibly resilient. People know a lot of the strengths coming into later stages of the game in team fighting. His engage is very, very powerful from incredibly long range. We see Impact catching Wild Turtle there, showcasing some of that. And also, this is kind of just demonstrating the wave clear. QW plus really just kind of a couple autos, even early on in the game, is going to clear out most of the wave. And as you get to higher level, that becomes easier and easier and easier to do. So now I am going to kind of hop onto the BFTS here and be able to show you a couple different combos. I want to show you one very basic one, just kind of the bread and butter of Ornn and Ornn trading, and then one really difficult combo, which I may or may not be able to pull off. So to start here, a lot of it just revolves around Q animation canceling. So the Q animation there is fairly lengthy. But if you Q and then immediately mash W, you're going to be able to actually cancel a lot of that animation. Now, one of the things that a lot of newer players have trouble with is actually timing the QE. So if you Q and you E too early, you're actually going to miss the knockup. You're not going to have that pillar popping up in time. Now, something that's actually built into the kit, essentially, is if you do the QW animation cancel into E, you can actually just mash basically all 3 buttons, and the timing is such that you will always have that perfectly timed knockup. That's going to allow your trades in lane to be much more reliable, a lot easier. That is kind of like the basic bread and butter combo there for Ornn. Now, as far as the most advanced combo, this is basically a very complicated combo that is going to allow you to have ridiculous kill potential, especially in 1v1 scenarios. What it actually is Q into R1, you ignite them, you then E for the knockup, you then immediately R2 to redirect the ultimate through them for an additional knockup, you auto to proc that brittle, then you W to apply another brittle, auto again, and then your Q, if you have 30% CDR, is actually back up and you can do it again. So very complex, does take some practice. I will try to show it to you guys here. We will see if I actually do get this right. You do get the second knock up there, then you W for another brittle, you auto, you can do another Q. I actually kind of trolled him with the Q. But that is the combo, you can see the idea. Obviously you would want to hit the second Q. But this does allow you to proc brittle 3 times. It allows you to have incredible solo kill potential. So if you do practice that, can work out pretty well. But that is more than enough to kind of justify his presence both in solo queue and pro, but there's the extra cherry on top in his form of masterwork items. This is something that people talk about all the time in pro play. Ornn gets 2 items for himself at level 12. Each level after that, you can upgrade one of your teammates' items. Now, these are some of the kind of options that we actually look for. For mages, Rabadon's Death Crown is the most gold efficient item that you can actually grab. Options for AD carries. You're almost always going to want to go for the Molten Edge. That is very, very powerful. Ghostblade obviously working for assassins. The amount of gold efficiency that is added through some of these items is really, really incredible. Abyssal is worth over 1,800 gold. Sunfire is worth a tremendous amount of gold as well. This is going to really pay dividends in the late game. Incredible amount of scaling added both for yourself and for the team. So really, that covers the basics when it comes to Ornn. Back to you guys. Good luck in solo queue.
And both Prolly and Azael really helping me be big brain today. But in the meantime, let's take a look at the schedule of games we have ahead of us. And then after we face off with Team Liquid and Dignitas and TSM and Evil Geniuses, Riven Avali will be joined by some members of Offline TV on the Bud Light League Lounge, so you can catch Skara, Fed, and Yvonne as they talk about LCS matches and kick it back to wrap up the day. I must say, I've had good times when I'm over on League Lounge. Have y'all?
I haven't been invited yet.
I mean, we sat on the couch, and the couch is top-notch couch.
That's true. Yeah.
top-notch times. But in the meantime, let's take a look at game number 1. Because in the end, we've got Team Liquid still a bit on the struggle bus. So at what point do we stop forgiving them for their roster issues?
Right now.
Already.
Yeah,
Yes.
the forgivenesses, the excuse, it's all gone. Because even setting aside my personal feelings on the issue, statistically, they need to start winning. They're 3-6. If you flip that around and you go 6-3 on the back half of the split and you finish 9-9, that has missed playoffs in the past. And in a split where all the teams are so compressed near each other,
In the soup, if you'd like
they're
to
really
that.
compressed. I'm leaving soup behind.
All right.
It was 1 week ago I made the mistake of bringing that up. If you're that close together, you'll see these seasons where it's like the 10-8 team is actually 6th place, and if Team Liquid's sitting at 9-9, they might actually miss playoffs. So they need to get better than a 6-3 record potentially to ensure they make playoffs.
Yeah, and a weird thing is, I know it's been heard and talked about. It's like spring split doesn't matter, but if your team can get 2 or 3 best of 5s under their belt in spring, that's going to bode so well going into the summer split. So them making playoffs in spring is really important.
It almost feels like they're having to play this mental catch-up, right? There's been so much that just hasn't felt there as a cohesive unit, but it wasn't just fixed as soon as that last member came in. So if you're looking at that last game and some of the things that went wrong, Mark, what do you think it really came down to?
I think we were all looking to see Broxa on the same page with some of the members of his team in terms of ganks around mid lane to get Jensen going or working with Core JJ to roam around the map. The Elise pick didn't synergize with their draft.
Didn't go
He
anywhere.
didn't gank mid or work with Core JJ to get anything done. All Broxa did was get Scuttlecrab. And so, not to put all of those on him, but I couldn't think of a more disconnected look for Team Liquid after getting this extra week of practice with Broxa. It all boded terribly.
Yeah, it really had to be like this is their identity, and they needed to show at least one good composition. So picking the Elise, I'm like, all right, we're gonna see dives top. We're gonna see ganks mid.
Yep.
But yeah, just like you said, we didn't really see much of that. We just saw like Elise was picked, and you got to see Elise run around and kill some crabs.
And it's interesting because we've seen Elise plenty in a very different capacity, so not seeing her utilized in that way when going against Dignitas. And if you look at the jungler over on that side, there have definitely been some improvements coming out of Grig.
Yeah, so this last match, they actually ended up taking the Jarvan and the Sejuani, which has like an early game pressure. It's not an insane advantage, but as you can see now, this is actually Grig's second invade. In the first one, bot lane, he took his bot lane with him to invade, and then he took his top laner with him and got a kill on Sejuani.
Yeah, and he continued to play well throughout the game. I think he actually finished without a death and set his team up multiple times. So it wasn't just he got a really good coordination with his team in the early game, but he continued to play frontline well for them. And that's what we had been wanting to see out of Grig after having his own horrible Elise pick game, last week where they gave up Aphelios Ornn for it. He bounced back. And that's really good to see when a lot of people were criticizing him as maybe the weakest member on Dignitas.
And we did see aggression yesterday. We've seen it from all these players before, and I think that was an expectation with Dignitas. But if you look at some of the drafts they've had, whether it was the Soraka Ornn during a previous game or just the actual control they have exhibited as a team, what has the diversity in what they've been able to do and expand as a team, and how has that contributed to this turnaround?
Well, yeah, I think Huni is definitely kind of a special player in a way where you used to see him like absorb a whole bunch of his team's resources and kind of put pressure on himself. So like, I have to be the one to carry it. But he's kind of filled this role where recently he's been picking a lot of like Gangplank and stuff. And now that like Ornn is meta, I'm sure like it might slip through the draft because Huni playing Ornn, oh well.
Froggen played it once?
Yeah, Froggen did play it once. So maybe they'll get stuff like that. But Dignitas, their wins earlier in the season were very unpredictable. You didn't know how they did it. It just kind of worked. Like, the enemy team's throwing them a ball and they like just caught it.
They did catch
They
it, yeah.
caught it.
Yeah.
And maybe dropped it again, had to like pick it back up. But this last win they had was like pretty smooth. It was a very nice win, and it was like, if we can see it again today, I'm gonna be pretty sold on maybe this is one of our top teams coming up.
So with all of that considered, the smoothness of Dignitas, Mark, if we're coming to you for Team Liquid with our win conditions, what would those be?
For me, I look at the draft when I saw that Elise pick not really synergizing that well. I actually want to draft for double. If they were on red side in the last game, they banned Aphelios as a common red side ban. The enemy team actually target banned double if, banning out Xayah and Varus, the other thing that he went on. So I want to early pick double-list pick in this draft. I'll even first pick it if it's good enough, like Xayah, because I need him to play on a champion. The Ashe did not look great, had some weird itemization choices as well, never picking up Pen against an Ornn. Those kinds of things. Double-list is the leader of this team in a lot of people's minds, mine as well. he needs to step up and give him the tools to do that. When he had the Varus in the one game that they won against CLG, he absolutely slammed lane with it, and I want something similar here.
What about the side of Dignitas, Prawley?
Well, mine is going to be a slight counterplay strategy. I do think TL's win condition right now is going to be around bot lane. And I think the best way to destroy that is control mid and bot. So far, we haven't seen Brox have great synergy yet. And if I'm the one in the river first, because I have decent synergy with my mid jungle, decent synergy with my bot jungle, because you saw the invades from my Saturday game, then you know I can actually control that, and then double lift, you're going to hug tower. Jensen, you're going to hug tower. And then, you know, I'll close the game cleanly, I hope.
Before we begin the battle on the Rift, let's have a little battle here, predictions, because I know the future, and I know the fact that y'all are on different sides of this first matchup here.
Oh boy, yeah.
I thought we were going to stop forgiving them, Mark.
I own their stock. I don't forgive them. This is
You don't forgive, you just...
Make me my money back. That's like the angry investor call. That's what that is. I can't sell at a loss, even though you should if you're going to keep losing. But
is that the strategy?
You should, but I'm not. I can't stop.
I'm never going to for financial advice.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Cool. Anyway, let's go ahead and send it over into the battle arena. Horses or owls, which will come out on top for Team Liquid and Dignitas?
Who's it gonna be, Jet?
One of those two sound effects.
Thank
for
you.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, we're in there.
Didn't know you'd take that one extra, but we're into picks and bets.
I blame the Tigress for tossing me the owl.
What's the tiger noise, freak?
Rawr.
Okay, close enough.
Yeah. I mean, look at like.
We weren't ready for that one.
No, look
Yeah.
at the start of like 1/10 of all movies, and you'll hear the like. I know
Oh, the
probably-
MGM roar.
It's a lion,
Yeah,
I think,
okay.
but yeah, it's okay. We're at a champ select Team Liquid, 3-6 in the first round robin. It has been a slow start, but we'll see if they can pick themselves up from here. Up against Dignitas, who's done reasonably well here. 5-4 is close to the top.
Look at these 80 carry bands from Dig. Is
Sure.
Varus going to be next? They're just telling him, hey, dude,
I
play
wanna see a
Asher
Varus
Senna
band.
again. I mean, yeah, because like Varus Tom Kent would still probably be lane dominant, but with Ornn up, you can see what they have to do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would just be a first pick, and you don't want to give that over to Impact.
Yumi's up. Yumi's definitely a big deal. Very
It's
strong
true.
champion. I'm trying to think of all the other like super duper power picks that are
Yumi
on
Ezreal
the pad.
would work.
Misfortune, although we're top tier 1 as well.
Okay.
And MF honestly does have good mid to late game damage output.
Oh, yeah.
She's just not as evasive, right? When you're relying on double lift using every mechanic but flash to live, MF doesn't have those.
Yeah, so now the ball is in Dignitas' court to see if they want to do something with the Ezreal Yumi, because I was actually talking with Prawley about this off camera before the show started, and he thinks Yumi is beatable. I also think Yumi is highly prioritized, but it does force you to play a certain way. It is so good at scaling now, and you also have to be very good at Yumi. That's what a lot of people underestimate. Like we saw Golden Guardians play it this week, where Keith didn't have a high amount of familiarity on the pick and didn't look good. And this could be a game where Yumi actually just doesn't go through because of how powerful both Varus and Misfortune will be, that a Yumi may not be able to survive. It'll be interesting though, because like if Braum is locked, you can then pick Yumi against it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Tom Kench Varus, though can be reasonably aggressive, is not so all-in heavy that MF will lose the lane outright. So Yumi, I think, would work in the matchup if he wants to play it. Core JJ, a career, well, I say career support. For the last 4 years, has been a career support. Has played support for the entire lifetime of Yumi, so if he wants to play it, they definitely can. I think the comp fits as long as TL wants to go that way. But we'll see what else comes through. Sejuani's up, Elise. I mean, every single jungle you care about is available.
Well, that's what happens when you have such high prioritization of bot lanes. Literally, we have double 80 carry bans in both bot lanes early locked, so...
280 carries and 4 solo laners banned away. Ornn, Soraka, Mord, all the above. And Pantheon gets to come through as TL wants to grab Set, challenges the option, and instant Pantheon.
Instant Set sit-ups on stage as well. I'm not sure if we've done that before in the LCS broadcast, but it was a nice touch.
Good.
First time, I'm just told.
All right, good to know.
Good stuff.
Good to know.
We got every stat ready here.
Thank you. That's beautiful stuff. So now we get to see the second round of bans coming through. Dignitas dropping away some mid laners. Pantheon, I think, is very flexible. We've seen
Triple
him.
flex.
Yep, top jungle and mid, and all 3 of those roles are open. So if TL hard bans one of those roles, you can easily see Pantheon just fill that one and feel comfortable regardless. Really worth reiterating, every single jungler, finally at least ban comes through, but otherwise every jungler is available.
Yeah, I mean, looking at what has been locked so far for Dig, Pantheon is not a particularly great late game champ. I kind of thought coming into this game that it was going to be a slow one, that it was going to be fairly low kills. I mean, Team Liquid has the lowest combined kills per minute in the league, and that's one of the reasons for a lot of their losses. But they're also with strong laning mechanics. Like, if they just want to generate wins, not necessarily think about much else, just pick better late game than the other team.
Yeah.
And with Pantheon already locked in, we'll see what ends up having to lane against it, because Team Liquid essentially has to kind of blind both lanes, or at least know that one of them might have to lane into Pantheon. But based off of this, like, give me a late game jungler and a late game mid laner for Team Liquid, and I think that would be their best draft.
That could look really good for them. We'll see. I looked up some of the early laning stats as well for TL, comparing it to last year's summer split to this year so far. Double's laning phase, pretty similar. A bit less gold difference, but he's still top 3 across the LCS. Jensen was actually a negative gold difference player last split, and he's positive this year.
Yeah, I've been thinking that Jensen has actually been playing really well.
Right. And so for a lot of the key carry members, their early games are still fine. You actually look back at last year's Smithy, he was actually negative gold difference jungler as well. Now, he was doing better than Shuren and Broxa are so far this year. I give them the pass a little bit for now, but Liquid wasn't like smashing all the lanes. They were just doing fine in the early game and then had really good late game. This time around, TL, of course, at 3 and 6 aren't finding that late game position, so I kind of see your point about, hey, draft some better team fighting.
Yeah.
Get yourself set up for the end game. Yeah, I think
Braum Sejuani against the melee dive of Pantheon Jarvan.
I think it could look pretty good as the dive is there, and we wait to see which lane the Pantheon really goes into. Worth pointing out, Dignitas are magic damage light. Makes me think that Pantheon is going top lane for Huni. I don't know what Pant set looks like normally, but they're going to go Lee Sin here. So Broxa finally doubling up on a champion. His second Lee Sin game now of his Team Liquid career.
Yeah.
And he's going to hope that his early game is better than what he's been right now, which is worst in the league.
It is Broxa Lee Sin for sure. It's his best historical champion. Also think there's a good reason to have a Sejuani for team comp reasons, but this is more about trying to keep up with early game Jarvan, with whatever type of early game power comes out from Pantheon. But it's gonna be dicey. Like, the CC lock from a top lane Pantheon on a Lee Sin can be fatal. So it's gonna be difficult, I feel like, for Team Liquid to generate fights and engages, whereas Dignitas has Panth, Jarvan, Varus to go with. So also wanted to point out the Frog and Victor. It's because of an Orianna ban.
Yeah.
But he has 5 Orianna games, and I have this own like crusade to say I like Frog and Victor more because all their games go late and it's more reliable late game damage. So good backup plan, Frog, and I like the Victor.
Good backup plan for the Victor. You can see Dignitas go up to 6 wins. If they can take this one home, that'll look really good for them. They'll only be 1 game behind second place, which is FlyQuest. Of course, a lot of ground to make up against Cloud9. That's maybe not happening in the regular season, but you can certainly fight for standings now. Top 2 is nice. Top 4 gets you into the upper bracket in the spring playoffs, and that's a good start. The good toss in striking distance of that. Team Liquid on the outside of playoffs right now. They do need to shape up. It's the second half of the split. They've got 9 games to play. Every team wants. They got to make up at least 2 games off the rest of the pack to get in there.
And I can still foresee it happening if they pull things together. I chatted with Broxa really quickly before this game, and he's like, it obviously sucks to get thrown in this late into the split, but he's also like, I've had bad starts to the splits before. Literally just look at Fnatic last year when we started 1-5, and we were able to improve from there. So none of these players on Team Liquid lack having bad starts in their past, so all of them have pulled out of those bad starts.
Yep.
And this might not be the game where they do it, but I'm interested to find out.
Let's find out right now. We're on to the Rift. Team Liquid fans, maybe never say never. These players should have the skills to get up there. Dignitas, though, have been a very pleasant spring split team so far, a winning record. And they could end this week 6-4, tied for 3rd. After playing Liquid the second time, as Huni is spotted out, but it's not like crowd control on those champions, so they can still walk away.
That was really close to actually being able to tag him with the Q over the wall, but no one had warded the tri-brush, so they didn't actually know Huni was in range to get hit by that Braum Q. Not much doing there, but that does mean Dig will be able to scout the red side jungle of TL. Something that has actually been working to Brox's detriment, and it looks like it's going to happen again this game, is it really does feel like all of his early games have just been on top of wards. Whether it's TL not blocking for him properly in the early game, or whether his jungle paths are getting scouted, doesn't really matter. It just matters that he's constantly seen. So it's one of the reasons his ganks haven't been working.
Yeah, as I mentioned in the champ select, he's got some of the very, very worst early game jungle stats in the league. 7 out of 3 games, the first 2 were jet lag. Like, he gets part of the pass, but his gold differences, he's got 0 first bloods across his game so far. Like, it has not been a quick start for him. And a lot of the reason TL picked him up was, hey, you know, we want more aggression in the early game. We want more dominance. We want this to happen. And now that Brock's into his second week of the career, I want to start seeing that out of him.
And everyone's going to have their own opinion on how much leash they're going to give Team Liquid in terms of success or failure. But I do think people are generally underestimating the difference between second week with the jungler versus second week with the jungler when everyone else is on week 6. The fact that if he would have been here at the start of the split, every team would have been coming together and building synergy. But Team Liquid is already behind the pace of that already. It's just made it additionally hard, but they're going for another gank on him.
Into the top side, 122 damage, board hops in, nice stun for
Try
Huni.
and flash the Q.
Yep, and he does so. I think Broxa, level 2, of course, didn't have the E for the slow, so it was just the Q versus the reflex play, and that is Huni able to dodge away.
So, now that Huni is flashless, trying to play aggressive on Pantheon is going to be extra risky.
Grig finishes his first 4 camps top side, and as you can see, running towards top. Try brush up from the top river as well. Doesn't have a spare ward to put down to help his teammate, and knows that Lee Sin isn't around. But yeah, Brox is on Gromp, right? And he can do Wolves and still end up top side. So Lee Sin is always only 10 seconds away.
Yeah.
May see more action, and actually now with the Scars Bloom popped, as these two trade, the junglers know where each other are. Grig was directly revealed, and the Scars Bloom himself gave away where Broxa was.
And Grig loses out probably both scuttles here, because Jensen was pushed up in the mid lane, so Broxa can take that, but the fact that they both met top lane means Broxa can very easily go scuttle to scuttle as Grig tries to clear Krugs. First scuttle actually doesn't have a massive amount of experience, so it's not this gargantuan lead, but it is a nice thing to be able to do as a jungler.
And right now, Huni needs help pushing out top lane. They don't know if Brox can make that brush or not, and so Huni is unwilling to fight for the wave until Grig is there. This kind of tells Impact that Grig has passed back to top side. Well, in a lot of cases.
It is Huni, right?
True.
I'd say other top laners would only do this with their jungler.
Oh, he's there.
Yeah, and Impact has to flash the flag, but weirdly enough, Huni's a guy who will just push in the wave if it's in a bad position, whether or not a jungler's there.
Yeah. But Huni was also AFKing the wave for the last 35 seconds while, like Grig went to Krugs, and Huni's sitting there in that brush, like, waiting for a jungler. 30 seconds later, he's like, thank you for finishing the half the Krug camp. Can we shove the wave in now?
Yeah.
They get a flash out of it, so I can't hate too much.
It's worth both flashless.
Yeah. All right, so that came out there. You got kind of the half camp lead for Broxa, as Grig wasn't able to finish the rest of Krugs. Huni needed him. I'm just not sure. Like, I really want to, at some point, spend time thinking about that interaction. And, like, should Grig have just shoved in the wave the first time? Right. Or was Broxa being top river making that too scary, where the 2-on-2 is bad? And you have to give up, like, a wave and wait till he leaves and pass somewhere else and then shove it in.
I think early game reset is just too scary if you're a flashless Pantheon. That's my guess.
Sure.
It's also putting Grig in this situation where we talked during Grig's first game this week, actually, about how, like, there is these two different versions of Grig. There's the one where he is kind of a slave to his lanes and not doing his own thing, versus the one where Grig is able to go around and make aggressive calls. And, like, the top lane situation with burning his early flash and making sure he stays top side, like, it makes it so Grig can't do anything. He needs to be up there for the later protection of Pantheon, and both Scuttle Crabs just go over to Lee Sin. So at least at the start, it is advantage Broxa in what he's been able to do on the map.
Well, a couple resets come through. We do not. He had to burn his flash first, which means Impact's flash comes in later, so we might see aggression top lane a little bit down the line. Top lane farm is caught up after Huni recalls and comes back in, but it's going to slow push back toward Impact here. Overall farm lead is with the set. You can see a 300 gold lead on TL overall, some of that mid lane. Otherwise, a little bit in top, with the rest of this wave waiting to be farmed. As Everything is pushed down, and Huni's going to feel comfortable at level 6. Might see him roam soon.
Yeah. Could see an alt bot lane since his teleport is also available.
I think Greg should stop. Okay, thank you. He Qs 3 of them. Auto the last one? Alright, fine. If you're going to recall anyway, just attack it once. I mean, really, right? It's 9 gold.
There's been so much gold moved into the mini and medium Krugs that if you're going to do Krugs, you kind of want to stick around there. Good ward by Huni again. Broxy just spotted out.
Yep. Very standard top lane ward. If you can ever get the push in and you're able to get down to the river, go ward Gromp, try to track the jungler. Smart by Brox. You can see he walks into top lane Travis before recalling.
Yeah.
Says, okay, you saw me path top side. I probably recall here, but maybe I walk around to something else silly. Maybe I go for a lane gank. You never know for sure. It takes him a second, but it creates a little bit of uncertainty on the opposing side.
You could see Johnson there actually needed to teleport back to lane for the tempo. Doublelift had already been able to get off a good BF sword recall and had made it back in lane, so we'll have no teleport for a Rift Herald swap play. That's always the small victory you're going for if you're not taking a teleport bot laner, is to try and get that teleport out before the objective fights happen.
The small benefit of MF as well, 60 free movement speed out of combat, more or less, with your W. And now as they look, ooh, that is...
Hello.
Roxa seeing Grig. Equal level in these players, but Jensen's come out of mid lane first and can threaten with that bubble to find
This
some
could
kind of
be
a play.
big fight.
Definitely could be. The recalls are already in. Jensen pushed back. 1,500 health on this Drake. It's now hitting Broxus, switching back over. Smite fight gonna come in pretty soon, maybe. Johnson is slowed. TP's coming in. They found the root, though. Bullet time over the top, and a first kill comes in. This fight in as well. Look at the fight for Dignitas. 2 for 0. The dunk of the backline is very big, but coordinated drops as well. Finally, a kill on the board for Set, and it splashes out for Dignitas. Nice knock of it for Greg. Jensen finds one. Flash to safety. Now Afmu's in danger. Has to put up the shield, but Double is so easily gonna kill his ex-lane mate. There's no way out for that one. And his team Liquid now picking up 3 kills on the back half. Lose the Drake, but grab an extra kill.
So many flashes for the Zoe at the end of that fight, but yeah, we knew it was going to be a big fight. The thing to point out is the Smite Steal did go over to Greg, so that is Cloud Drake for them, and they got a kill onto Broxus, so he's going to be waiting until level 6. But the eventual fight went to Team Liquid. Watching this one more time, both junglers end up getting put in a bind because they kind of need to take this Drake. Stronger focus by Dig to actually kill Brox at the start, but then you're dealing with a level 7 Set who gets a big ultimate off as his Conqueror proc. So Impact is the one who ends up kind of carrying that fight for TL, even though the steal does come through for the Dignitas squad. And then once it's split up, it's just easy kill for Doublelift on the top and some flash funness on the bottom.
Yeah, pretty fun. They actually got the chase down. I think it was started with 2 kills for Dig, and then the other ones came through. So TL cleaned those kills up in a 3v5. Nicely done by them to chase down. Froggen, wow, not the best record. Spent a lot of time in bad teams. Now the team fight comes in again. Great rumble. After move very, very low. Flash to safety. Here comes Panther over the top. Gets some backline access. Doublelift does go down, but already a double kill for Jensen. The chase down Grig is gonna drop, and Team Liquid get a 3-for-1 team fight.
Yeah, a couple donations there by Dignitas when you're Pantheon alting into one of those basically lost fights. Huni actually ends up getting a 1-for-1, but far more kills coming through for TL. I'll have to see what the map state was when Dig started that Herald. Like, yes, they were able to get it, but they were not in position for the fight. And
Gravity Field stops him mid-Q. That could have been a kill for Brox, I think.
Oh, man.
If you waited on the Q, that was maybe an execution, but now Huni wants in. Empowered Qs in 1 second. Bam! Bunch of damage. Ease forward. Kick back, but Froggen's almost in range.
Think they can
If he has this snipe! Ooh, gets a bit of damage. Jensen just gets away.
Whew.
Yeah.
Big bounty on Jensen as well. He's starting to get a few of those Zoe kills. It's going to make it really difficult for Froggen to lane against it at this point. But Dig is pushing the tempo. I mean, Huni on Pantheon is making stuff happen.
Impact, full HP under a turret.
Really
on
hard
a
to dive a Set.
Well, he's going to try, though. Q, auto. Knockup not going to found for Greg. But here comes 4 members as Varus pushes in the wave. Afro can pull back. Whoever pulls aggro first.
He's got W and R.
He's smart about turret aggro. They warm up the turret for him. He ults in the back line, gets a bit of safety. Greg cannot get eaten. He's going after Zonia's that one. Huni's going to go down as well. Dignitas botch the dive horribly, as now Afro is forced to run away, but he's slowed a little bit. Will Impact find the rest that they need? Shield comes in. Afro has the gray health. Goes for the stun. Big damage coming in. When will he pull this? Has to do it now. Might be on cooldown. Here comes the second Q. Goes in for the punch. And Afro won't quite die. He stopwatches. no skill shots left available, but Dignitas just give away a 1 for 0 and lose 2 stopwatches.
I thought Broxton was going to die on that, but if you look at the overall tempo of the map now, it's hugely in favor of Team Liquid. Yes, it was a botched dive, but Impact played that about as immaculately as he could have, utilizing his R and W, never wasting his W until it was going to give him a large amount of shield and damage. That whole time, Freak, Doublelift was pushing bot. So not only did Impact get further and further ahead of Huni, who, by the way, is at 44 CS, 11.5 minutes into the game, it also meant Doublelift got an XP boost. So this is one of the best early games TL has had all year based on results. Watching it again, it's just super, super hard to dive a set. Like, unless they can actually CC lock him.
Just wait. Don't pull turret aggro. Wait till the wave is pushed in.
Yep.
Greg go for the turret. Afro
take
the
turret.
Now the turret's warm, by the way, so it does 25% more damage. And so Greg has a stopwatch.
Yeah.
And Huni's already low.
And no one can chase through, because no one actually has the damage to kill him, right? They're running a Cinder Hulk Jarvan with a Phage Pantheon, a Tom Kench, and an Unblade of the Ruin King Varus. That is actually not enough damage to kill Set, weirdly enough.
Nope. At least not when the turret's helping that much. So, Herald is summoned topside. That is one thing that Dignitas got, and they will be able to knock down this turret as a result. Gold is shared across everyone. Greg stayed within the extended radius of gold, and the support, of course, in melee range there as well. You see Teal getting pretty close down to the side. The turret's going to drop before too terribly long, and that's without Herald, because, again, we talked about what happened earlier, where Double didn't have to join the squad, but Dignitas are still pushing. You don't always get to see the second turret attempt, and this is going to be maybe a decent dive. He's going to land, pulled back in. Huni's going to feel fairly safe. Dropped up the drop turret aggro, and with the new wave, they will get a second turret. So positive stuff for Dignitas. Gets 2 turrets on the board.
Yeah, first turret bonus, as well as a 2-for-1 on those turrets. Feels pretty good temporarily, but again, that gold is spread pretty evenly, whereas Doublelift was able to farm pretty well, and this means an Ocean Drake goes over to Team Liquid. So nice, but still a lot of catching up to do for Dig as baby.
Good cleanse. All right, Froggen is safe. You mentioned the specific gold on Doublelift. He's 500 over Jensen, and Jensen has 3 kills. That is turret gold at work for you right there. So MF definitely coming online. A lot of cash in her. 1,400 gold right now is enough for Berserker's Greaves, then almost Warhammer, so probably he's going to wait till he can finish that off. And then, actually, just Pickaxe is going towards IE next item, and now Jensen going to take a bit of a slow. Decent damage out from Froggen. He'll live through this, but pretty good trade.
I mean, Froggen's doing Victor things this game.
He is.
It's just this weird mismatch of the way the game is playing out, where Huni and Grig are flying around trying to fight all the time, and Froggen's like, hey guys, I'm Victor, let me wave clear and farm. And then team fight late.
Yeah. And his mistakes have definitely cost Dignitas there. I can't fault them for the Drake fight. I think that was fairly smart. Like, okay, they ended up going down a kill, but that's okay. They got first blood gold. They got a Drake out of it. Seems all right. It's the top side that really went badly for them.
Yeah.
On, I think, what was the back half of a Herald play or something like that.
Yeah, we've seen a few teams try different answers to Set, because obviously Set was the first Soul laner locked in. You could surmise that it was going top. It's basically only TSM who has flexed it into the jungle position so far this year. So we've seen Cassio's in Academy. We saw Vladimir yesterday. We've seen some Kale. Pantheon seems like one of the worst so far.
I agree.
Because you're not winning any of your all-ins, because it's Set.
Yep.
And
you're not poking him out.
You're not outscaling and you're not outranging. So the more I think about it, the worse it becomes.
Yeah. So here's my opinion on why it could be good. I assume Dignitas and the players and analysts have brains. Is that it's meant to just shove then roam. It's meant to be like, hey, sure, I'm just gonna leave and I'm gonna join this gank with this Jarvan, and we're just gonna go kill Zoe constantly. We're all just gonna chain gank Froggen, and it's gonna be great. Unfortunately, that did not happen. But I can see like that being the logic, right?
Sure.
Well, we're just gonna win around ult cooldowns.
Yeah. We're just gonna go alt bot. We're gonna go fight it mid.
Yeah.
I mean, there is also a reason that Pantheon was 100% permabanned at the World Championship in 2019.
Yeah.
It's been nerfed since then, but the early game flexibility and proactivity can be very good. But oh my goodness, is Huni behind in this game?
He's
really the same level as Core JJ.
Ouch. Yeah, same as his support as well. 8's down there. 2. Okay, he just got to 9.
Okay.
He's only 2 behind Impact, but that is a lot of levels at 50 minutes in the game. as the top lane is now under fire as well. They won't quite dive this. He was nearly stunned out. Use a few minions down, but this turret is on its last little legs.
Jensen has to be a little careful mid because it is 1v3 as Impact is off pushing away. Maybe Dig is looking to force something.
And ultimately, nothing really picked up.
Weirdly enough, Freak, Pantheon's a pretty good support.
Great.
He has good gank assist, and the utility of 3 seconds of directional invulnerability makes it so you don't necessarily need high income to be able to buy space in teamfights.
Right.
So not a bad solo queue pick. I don't know if we'll end up seeing it in Pro. Huni will need to try and find effectiveness with a low-income Pantheon in this game.
Yeah, it's a shame that he has all those attack damage ratios where you really want money to be a damage.
Yeah, true.
I feel like I see your point. I'm going to posit that I'd rather have an Alistar than a auto-filled Pantheon support. Because let's be real, I feel like if you want to win, like maybe I'm wrong, right? And he's actually like a 70% winning support and everyone should play him all the time. But I feel like if you're filling the role of a tank and Alistar exists, play Alistar.
Can Alistar ult from bot to mid?
He can ult and then walk to mid. It's not good. I see your point. I do see your point. There is stuff there. Very rarely have I seen a lot of these supports actually transition and do well.
Yeah.
TF support, Irelia support we saw in the LCK once.
Okay.
Just ends up not quite.
Panth is definitely better than both things.
Okay, that's good. All right. Well, I'll take it back for now. Nice one!
Woo! There's the Broxa Lee Sin. That's Sejuani can't do that.
No, she can't. That was awesome. Broxa single-handedly takes down a champion. That's going to be mid lane cracked wide open for TL.
He also had the Rift Herald, right? So he did the control ward jump.
Yeah.
Then he had to place this, and they're taking 2.
They're getting 2 for sure, and ooh, they almost found some more kills. The Drowsy, it's only a minion. You can see Team Liquid completely taking over. Almost a 4,000 gold lead. Actually, more than. 18 minutes in, this is an absolutely massive lead. Maybe their single highest of the season so far. This is the Liquid that people expected when they came into the year.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the FlyQuest game had a higher goal difference because their Rift Herald play went extremely well there, but
that's true.
There haven't been that many good early games by TL Freak. I think a lot of this one does come down to like winning the team fights when they happen. We might end up seeing more here as they're going for mid priority while Infernal Drake is up. It's kind of hard for actually TL to force things unless Broxa makes another one of those kicks. A lot of it is like waiting to see if Grig and Huni ult in. So what we may end up seeing in this game, Freak, unless Huni and Grig really feel like they have to fight, is 10 more minutes of Drakes.
Yeah.
Because that's the timer for TL to get Infernal.
But chat, this is Huni and Grig. Of course they feel like they have to fight.
They might.
So we may see it happen all the same. Here comes an attempt. Sleep is there, but with the barrier in the way, Jensen can't get in range. There is the Infernal grabbed up. 10 minutes. Mark your calendars. 19 into the game. At 29 and a couple of seconds, Team Liquid can have the Infernal Soul. We'll see if it takes that long. We'll see how the game plays out.
Liquid can keep moving across the map, right? Like they're denying vision in the jungle, they're stealing blue, they're pressuring top lane turrets, so they're going to try and get the outers down so that they can have 6 turrets down by the time these Drakes, but my gut is telling me that unless Dig try and engage, we're probably not seeing many more kills until the next 2 Infernals.
It's very likely. I know your point about waiting to see if it's going to be Grig or Huni to start it, and maybe it will be at some point. And we'll see how close the farm gets. We'll also kind of mark the calendar and say, okay, look, it's a 5,000 gold difference. So if there isn't action, is TL growing the lead by catching more waves or knocking down more turrets or, you know, poaching camps from the jungle? That's one other thing we'll track, but that's going to be kind of our inflection point right now as we crest 20 minutes into the game. Does it go bigger or smaller than 5,000 gold as we move towards Baron spawning and that 3rd and 4th Infernal Drake?
Yep, make sure you also tune into Monday Night League Lounge or Bud Light League Lounge after Monday Night League tonight.
Twitch.tv/Bud Light. There you go. There you go. I too can read chat. We have proven that we are both literate.
Also wanted to point out the nice synced recall by TL right there. Everyone made sure to pick up control wards. I would say that the 2 control wards on everyone would have been the coach's call, but the player's call said, you know, I'm just going to make sure I have at least one.
And I want to point out,
the rest of my gold.
Most of them have like 500 gold in inventory.
Yep, they definitely could have done it.
Yeah. So unless they like sneakily already put one down and like showing off with their ability to ward and buy wards, I feel like they're just holding them, you know?
I mean, I've definitely been guilty of that in games that I'm winning by a lot.
Yeah.
I'm like 6K up and I go back to base and I say, do I really need to have that extra control ward or can I save up for my Leandries?
Yeah.
And usually it's the Leanders.
I understand. You play a Mumu. I get it.
Yeah. Doublelift is working on the Hex Drinker. So, I think.
Could be QSS.
Yeah, it might be just QSS.
Don't hit it for Varus, right? It's one of the few ways you die is Pantheon W's you or Varus ults you, and you're like, okay, I have a Barometer on the top 10.
Yeah, it's definitely QSS.
Seems likely.
TL trying to get that vision, and this could be the fight.
Huni wanted to fight, he finds Core JJ, gets a stun, gets some damage, ult comes off, shield comes down as well, bullet time, pushes back Johnson, and his double 2 supports, hits support.
Boy.
There's the slam, Huni stopwatches by a couple of seconds, but impact is there. Move over! And the kick as well, might find some more kills. Johnson's dead now as well, it's a 2 for 0, make it a third, a double kill for Doublelift, as now Grig is running away. And you know what, it took about 2 minutes for who to decide, I want to fight.
Yeah.
And it went really badly.
Hey, the other team's taking control of our jungle. We got to stop them, boys. I mean, ultimately, TL was going to pressure Baron with all their control wards, but now they just kind of get the Baron because that fight was not going to work. They saw the slight split-up opportunity, but they really just did not have the item thresholds. Jensen zoning out Grig now as the rest of the team take Baron.
I mean, they focused the stone plate drop. Of all partners to pick, it is, I think, literally the worst possible one. Nice pickup for Jensen. Now, I will say that Team Liquid did leave the Dignitas jungle. They pushed him out of the jungle and said, hey, go take Baron instead. So, you know, it gave time to farm chickens, maybe some Krugs. So, silver lining for Dignitas, I think.
Yeah. They're now down 8,000 gold. It looks like Team Liquid is having one of their better games. So this is more, as you mentioned earlier, the type of Team Liquid we expected to see. Dig is also having a fairly rough game, because you can see here, like, Huni was hoping to get on Doublelift, wasn't in range. Core JJ was the target that presented itself, but they ended up burning so many cooldowns there, and then very good timing by Impact, knowing that the Eon Pantheon was down and that he would be unable to escape once they go there. The second great kick of the game by Broxa right there as well to get the kill onto Johnson. And then at that point, there is just no damage left on Dig, and they can chase down the rest of the kills.
The calls, okay, don't chase, don't dive their inhibitors. Just go ahead and take down the Baron. They get that one, no problem. The gold lead is now almost 8,000. It took us 3 minutes to get to this point. Dignitas opted into a fight. Maybe their hand was forced because Baron is being set up. But regardless, a 3 for 0 plus Baron means Team Liquid is even farther and farther and farther ahead. Doublelift and Froggen, MVPs have damaged that fight. Sadly for Johnson, couldn't do a whole lot after being kicked back by Broxa.
Jensen working on the one-shot build. He's got the Medjais and the Lichbane potentially on the way. Having a very potent Zoe game.
Yeah.
Interesting here how they are pushed top, trying to maximize this Baron power play with a minute 30 left because Infernal is up, so they are delaying their potential Infernal Soul. Maybe looking to win here if they can get the right type of pick.
Sleep comes in. Huni, though, going to tank the paddle start. Nicely done on that side, at least. But the siege can continue pretty easily as mid lane is now reinforced. Broxa shows up. They're not going to send too many of TL there as Dignitas were already in there to knock down the wave. As you mentioned, Infernal's alive. We'll see when TL wants to go for that one.
Yeah, a lot of times teams will like sneak one person down to Infernal, so it seems like you're still threatening with enough teams and you're kind of chipping the turrets, but it looks like TL is feeling fairly confident. They're having a hard time syncing these waves to hit at the same time. Like there's no cannon up top lane while the cannon hits mid. I'm not getting a huge amount of damage down.
Mid down to half HP. TL definitely playing it very slowly, very pokey here. They do miss 3 flashes from the squad. Only Jensen and Core can get away from a hard engage. That is what Dignitas wants to do here as Core takes some damage. But he's still going to stay reasonably safe. Grig at half health, though, just tanks a Battlestar.
Yeah, it looks like they just want to break this turret and then maybe turn for Infernal.
This turret's definitely gone. That was going to knock down. Inhibitor was going to be pretty much a freebie then at that point. Team Liquid still staying to knock down some minions. Huni gets some damage on impact, but again, that set is very tanky and walks away safely. Mid and Higgins is cracked. Broxa shepherded in the bottom lane. That's going to be coming in pretty soon here as well as TL simply push forward, knock down minions, and try to push back Dignitas. Still, the Baron is timed out, and now that it's gone, looks like they've maximized their push efforts and have gone to the Drake.
Yeah, so reasonably effective Baron power play. The 5,000 gold we talked about 6 minutes ago has now grown to 9. So a pretty effective game from TL so far. There's no need to close out really quickly. There's definitely the off factor when a team can take a 9,000 gold lead or a Baron to end, but as long as they're stacking up towards an eventual Dragon Soul, and when you look at these team compositions, like the set MF Zoe scale well enough against the Varus Victor. The fear would be a really late game Victor, just kind of like one-hitting the Lee Sin every time he pops in, but for now, Team Liquid doesn't have a need to rush.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. I kind of want to spend a couple seconds thinking about the Team Liquid shot calling there, because it's, okay, we're not playing aggressively. Like, don't give them the chance at a pick into taking a Drake. We're going to maximize our Baron time with sieging. Only once Baron is gone, then we'll go back to Drake. Sure, the Drake kill was delayed by about a minute and a half. That's not a game-breaking issue. As you mentioned, the scaling difference is not very large. You can wait a minute and a half for a Baron, for a Soul, right? Not a huge difference. But hey, let's make sure we get 1 or 2 extra waves of Siege with Baron. Yeah, that seems worthwhile.
Yeah, because to be fair, like Team Liquid doesn't have good initiation with the composition. So them actually breaking the base is pretty difficult from a setup position. So you need those Baron Siege minis to do everything they can, because they only last for so long. So I don't hate what TL did there.
It's one of the nice things, or I guess I could say interesting things, you're allowed to have your own take, about 2020 League of Legends, where there's actually a lot of power in neutral objectives, right? It's like, less and less of the game is about direct sieging with champion power, and it can be, well, it's Baron setup, or it's 20 minutes of Drake control, and maybe then the Elder afterwards if it needs to happen, but yeah, they can control the middle of the map and keep their opponents at bay, and that way it can work as well. Mooney comes in for a stun and a core. JJ doesn't get a whole lot done. Now Grig wants in, finds a knockup, but again, it's on the tank support. They accomplish nothing and lose half their health bars. Bullet time comes down.
Yep. Did clear the wave though, so they will probably be able to get their health back before deciding to contest this next one or not. They might be ulting in here. Hooney's thinking about it. They're going.
Is in the bottom lane. This is now the go moment. Can it work now for Dignitas? The Cataclysm back line. Big damage over the top. Jensen jumps out. It's a 1 kill, but now traded back. Hooney's going to be dropping probably as well, as Dignitas now only have 3 versus 4. Kiting away as best they can. Getting a bit of damage down as the bottom turret is broken here as well.
1 for 2. The divers do die, but it has repelled the TL push, and the turret's alive. The extra benefit is they took 10 stacks off of Jensen's Soulstealer.
Yeah.
They got that Zoe down, and he had a pretty sizable bounty, so not the worst. The problem, though, is Baron is up, and the enemy jungler is down. So TL can just do it.
Yeah. In terms of raw gold value, I think Dignitas with a shutdown there as well arguably won the fight in gold, but the game is not just gold, it's also map positioning, champions alive, and as you mentioned, Baron is on the table. Aphromoo would need a miracle to steal. I don't think it's going to happen. Q's going to land, get away from now. Baron goes over yet again to Team Liquid.
Second Baron of the game, only 1 inhibitor turret remaining, and 2 minutes left for Infernal. Watching this one more time, you could see Dig coordinating with the Hooney off the base, and it's timed really well, actually. Jensen had just shifted in with his R, so he's doing everything he can to escape, and they are able to burst him down, right? With the Victor following up on top of Pantheon and Jarvan. But they're also in the situation where they're diving past a set. So once you push that far, no one else can pass the set line that Impact is holding.
1200 damage. Plenty done there. And hey, good damage by Jensen with the poke before that point. But yeah, pretty spread out damage fight this time for Dignitas. Hooney did get the shutdown gold. 1,000 went to him. Sadly for Froggen, only assists on the board. I think that 1,000 would have been pretty nice. It would have meant the first half of the death cap, which would have been pretty valuable. Another poke there. Froggen's at half HP. If that Q landed, Broxa kills him probably. Well, Tom catches there, so maybe not. But now Grig has to walk backwards as mid is under fire. Or sorry, top is under fire as well, as that turret is cracked. Top and Hib's going to fall here as well. The Baron buff in full use. And we're only 30 minutes into the game, and TL basically has ended it already.
And I think we're going to see a final fight here, because they're going to try and roach it over to some third and hib where they don't have minions. And the only way Dig can stop them is by actually fighting, and Hooney's sitting on the fountain, so watch for that Pantheon ultimate. We might see the final fight.
They know it's flashless MF, flashless Zoe. It's got to be the target. Grig marked by Impact. Here comes Pantheon. Decent damage. Who can they find? There's a stun on the 1, but he gets right away, and he's going to stay alive. They're still going to go for it. They can. Impact could be a big threat and get some damage across. Grig forced out, never even able to ulti, and Hooney now drops as well. Good peel for Team Liquid. They win the fight. They'll claim the bottom inhibitor, and they'll reclaim mid.
Core JJ peeled double lift well, but Impact actually won that fight. He held off the entire Dignitas backline as set. Sterix, Gage, Gargoyle Stoneplate just bought the maximum amount of time as the third inhibitor is broken, and this could be the final push as the super minions stack up.
They're finding potential sleep. Will there be follow through? Tom Kent denies that one, but the turret is gone, and only one is left. 5v4, Grig tries yet again for ultimate EQ, but Broxa finds that kill, his first of the game. And now the fight continues, 5 versus 3. Turrets are gone, the flash in for Core JJ, wants to have another kill. There's the pullback for Impact, and he's got himself yet another kill. They're 5-0-7 on the set. As now Dignitas are forced to run. The victor will be asleep, takes a big chunk of damage. The Nexus falls, and Team Liquid improves to 4 wins.
And there's a big sigh of relief from Broxa after that game. Says, finally, we're not going 0-2 in this week and moving closer to the playoff picture, because that's ultimately all Team Liquid need to do. They need to make it into playoffs. This team has won 4 consecutive LCS titles. It is uncharted territory for them to be 3-6 at the start of the year, but wins like this need to be built upon for Team Liquid. Moving to 4-6, handily beating Dignitas, a team that is above them in the standings, was 5-4, now 5-5. So there were definitely moments in that game where it felt like Grig and Huni were just running into Team Liquid.
Yep.
But you have to catch. And Team Liquid was able to make that happen time and time again for a pretty solid win.
Water bends but never breaks. Team Liquid take a decisive victory over Dignitas, and after the break, we will hear from Team Liquid support. Stick around.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Monday Night League. I have here with me Core JJ, support for Team Liquid. Congratulations on the victory against Dignitas, but I did want to bring you onto the couch here because I wanted to ask, what's going on with Team Liquid right now, man?
I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with us, but maybe it's just happening. I just hope like can happening, you know. So we just start with a bad result, but like as everyone knows, everybody will remember like last winner. So we just learning to be a last winner.
Learning to be the winner at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, prep for the end of the split. I mean, you guys did have a rough results coming into the first half of the split. You do have the second half of the split ahead of you. But I want to talk about your team. Now that you have Broxa with you, you've had about 2.5, 3 weeks to play with him. So do you feel like you finally built that team synergy?
Yeah. Sure. It is really good to be a one team again, like finally, but it was actually kind of late because everyone like already boot camp, everyone practice earlier, right? But like now, so we are the situation on like we have to catch on the enemy teams, but actually it is pretty good because like if we don't like we got the pressure because like, we were the defending champion. Like I think I like to, play on situation that we are behind and that we're gonna catch up. They're gonna be scared when we play well.
Oh yeah, they better be scared when you guys finally get everything together. I like that mentality, giving everyone kind of like that false sense of security and then coming at them.
Yeah, everybody will expect Liquid will be back stronger.
Be back stronger. Well, actually, thinking about that, this was the split that everyone was waiting to see if you guys would be the 5 back-to-back, etc. champions. But now there's almost this possibility where Liquid may not even be able to make playoffs.
Yeah.
When you think about that, what do you think of, I guess?
If we don't make a playoff, it's gonna be really tragic. Yeah. But I do really believe that we can make a playoff, and then like we're gonna start our game after we make a playoff, and then in the playoff we're gonna show the Team Liquid.
Now, it sounds like you're very confident, very self-assured. When I see you and I see you in the team comms, you've even said before that you take care of Doublelift like he's your baby. How do you help everyone else on your team keep that strong mental and keep them all focused on that goal at the end of the split to make playoffs and then take finals?
I'm sorry?
How do you keep everyone's mental strong? Doublelift baby.
I don't know, just we know what taste is winning, so we don't want to lose. Like we already knew like the taste of winning, so it's hard to give it up.
Hold on to it. Keep that taste of winning, I guess, alive and well. But Core, thank you so much, and best of luck to you and Team Liquid on the second half of the split. That's it for us here, but for everyone else, after the break, we will take a look at the featured matchup between TSM Bjergsen and EG Jizuke. You won't want to miss it.
Thank you.
Every click,
Every frame.
Every press.
every sound.
They're playing aggressive.
I'll take mid. Every advantage.
When the difference
Between winning and losing,
is measured in milliseconds.
everything.
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 Everything counts.
The Alienware Legendary Battle Station.
Welcome back to Monday Night League at the State Farm Analyst Desk, where TSM versus Evil Geniuses is next on the docket. And according to player interviews, TSM has seen a need for improvement on their team even after a win, which is very interesting in stating how they feel just about their standings right now.
Yeah, I think Kabe speaking out about it in their interview after the win was really impressive, or for me at least, what I want to see out of a team that is expected to be one of the best in the league and not just being okay with the win, even though they are very valuable to pick up at this point in the season when everything's so close. It makes it clear that their sights are set higher than just making playoffs, which is where I think a lot of their competition is concerned right now.
And I think it's kind of like a undervalued skill is kind of like mine and dig for those mistakes in like victories and in losses instead of just looking at the obvious. So the fact that he's very comfortable looking at it is pretty important. I will say I wish they were a bit more critical about their drafts from weeks before. I know they had a particular one with Pantheon and Talia against FlyQuest where I know you guys had it on the draft segment where you had draft court, and I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it was accepted or not guilty.
That was not guilty,
Was it not guilty? Okay, so I think in isolation, I agree with his verdict. I think this draft doesn't have huge issues and it has a clear win condition, but for TSM, I think this is not the way they should be drafting at all. Their mid and late game has been their biggest issues. And by playing an early game comp like this, they're kind of skirting that issue. They're going to snowball hard, or they're going to miss the snowball and then not practice early game. So this was something I wish they would be drafting for, is let's have a mid-game comp and actually play through our weaknesses.
It's definitely an interesting take because it's different from saying, oh, early game's bad. It's more, if your problems are mid and late game, take a comp that needs to be good in the mid and late game to win, which I think kind of happened with EG versus TL. They were a team that faced a lot of similar criticism. Where EG was like, you have to snowball to win. And then they go and pick this draft, which is mostly late game and scaling, and then they outperform TL just through team fight situations, which is exactly what we were criticizing them for being unable to do. And to your point, you know, that shows that EG is improving in those areas.
Yeah, I think this was a really smart draft, especially against TL, because TL has not shown that they can like win early game like they used to and then carry through the mid game. So EG drafting a composition where they actually need to be beaten really hard early game, it was really smart against TL. So I'm curious where they're going to land today against TSM, because it's going to be a different beast than Team Liquid.
Okay, so if you're looking specifically at some of the things that were brought about by EG, then yeah, they're showing some differences in how they've been able to perform. But I want to look over at TSM. If you're on the jungle focus, and Dardoch was the big question mark, right, of how is he going to perform on this team compared to others, what is it about TSM that has allowed him to come through with a positive influence in the LCS this split?
I mean, I got to say, I've given a lot of credit to their coaching staff for creating an environment for a player like this. I know he's been on a lot of teams, and even this last summer split on Academy, he wasn't doing that well. So for the fact that TSM was able to pick him up, and now they're actually able to get good performances out of him, even during a time where TSM hasn't even been going like 6-0 or anything. Like, they've had a kind of a shaky split so far.
And the change in his KDA from his total game time to his KDA at 15 actually speaks a lot to your points about mid-game struggles. His early game's great. He's dominating the early game. It's about what they do from there, and when he's supposed to be engaging and setting his team up, that things seem to start falling apart for TSM, which is why I think it was interesting about the point.
Well, and that's the thing. So if you're looking at the fact that it's been identified so often that mid-game is where TSM has the biggest struggle, then what are some of the more particular characteristics? Is it the fact that no one is having an identity of who should be making the shots, or just not knowing where they should be prioritizing?
Yeah, mid-game is really kind of ambiguous. You can't really put your finger on, like, this is it, or this is not it, right? It's not one thing to improve. So, I mean, I guess if I had to kind of boil it down a bit, I'd say a lot of mid-game is about discipline, and discipline is not something you turn off and on. It's something that you kind of learn and have and hold on to. And so going into mid-game, they really need to all be on similar pages of how we're going to play this out, not be overreaching, not going crazy for these things, but actually kind of sitting down and going, like, this situation, this is how we're going to play it out, so they kind of all have a good body language when they communicate.
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing. You saw it, especially in like their Drake fights, for example, in the previous game, where despite doing great in side lanes and finding pickoffs and stuff, as soon as they group for 5, that's where the problems emerged.
So those problems mid-game, that's what you're focusing on with TSM. If we're going over onto the side of EG, Jizuke had some great plays over on Zoe during their last game that has put him in contention for Player of the Week, but rather not just about that, what does it show about EG's team? Because we knew Jizuke was going to be a big component in their win or losses. What's different now?
I mean, it's not an individual playmaker. A lot of times, Jizuke, we're saying, LeBlanc, you look great, and Syndra, and these kinds of things. Zoe does work with the team a little bit more. Yes, she has autonomy in terms of fishing for poke on her own, but she is still a bit of a team fighter, and it was in team situations where he was getting people off dragons, buying space for them to secure those against Team Liquid, and why he stood out. And I think that's what we were excited to see with this team that was struggling in the mid game, that they actually had good objective control, which was keyed off of his plays.
Yeah, specifically, I remember a moment when they were over by the Dragon Pit, and instead of maybe in week 1 or 2, Jizuke might have went in and then stayed a little too long. He went in, did the poke he needed to, and then backed off. So with that element of control, how do you think that might be an advantage for him when facing off against Bjergsen this time around?
I don't know if it'll be an advantage. I hope it will, because Bjergsen also dumpstered Ryoma yesterday in their match. He had a 20-30 CS lead just after we were saying people usually don't get those kinds of leads anymore. He builds one, then he starts getting solo kills. I think this will be a much taller task for Jizuke to do the same thing today.
Well, with all of that being said, let's see if EG can take down TSM or if it is Nyx for them in the standing. Let's send it over to the casters.
Thank you very much. Hello and welcome back for Game 2 of Monday Night League. I am still Freak. To my right is still Chat. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good.
The first game, we saw Team Liquid at least move a little bit up in the standings. They're going to be tied for 6th at the end of this week with basically the whole league. And then here we get to see if TSM can either be alone in third or part of a huge 5-5 tie in third place.
Yeah. We'll see which one it's going to be for them. I know people have continued to say they think TSM is the number 2 team in the league. We'll see if their record can soon reflect that, as they'll be either 1 or 2 games behind second place. Based on today's result, Evil Genius is another team with high hopes for them, but a 4-5 first round robin does not speak to maybe the level of play expected of them.
Yeah, and the first time these two teams played, it was actually one of the closest games of the split. It was one Ocean Soul away from being, one Ocean Drake away from being an Ocean Soul game for Evil Geniuses.
Yep.
TSM ended up coming back from like 5K down to eventually win. And based on the way drafts have gone, getting that first pick Ornn has got to feel good for TSM.
All right, so now what do we see for this one? Yes, great tank, great late game. Trundle, you want to see it? Do it! I don't know if you grab it this early, though. It's just not that contested of a pick. So you're going to look at the Ezreal instead coming through. Yumi's already gone, so no combo coming through on this one. TSM did not want to play against Hazel's Yumi.
Yeah, they're like threatening the Trundle. We still could see Yumi come in after the Ezreal's already locked, because that's one of the best AD carries to pair it with. TSM has every option to go. Even just hovering the Trundle is like, make sure you don't play Sejuani, because we're going to pull out the Trundle.
Yep. Lee Sin, Dardoch again on early aggression in the jungle. 15 KDA in the first 15 minutes. Usually like 15 and 1 overall. Kills and assists combined to 15, so he's doing great stuff for himself there. TSM's early game, second best in the LCS. Second, obviously, only to Cloud9, but doing a lot of things well in the early game. It's been converting it. That's been the problem for them.
Yep.
We'll see if they can turn this one around.
And it is back to basics for TSM with another Syndra pick.
Yeah.
I feel like it just keeps getting picked sooner by them every week.
Yeah.
Either it's their fourth pick on red side, and here they're just like, you know what? We've won 3 games on Syndra already.
Yeah.
Why not go for 4 this split? And they lock it in really early.
It's the only champions played more than one time this split. Like Bjergsen and Syndra, I mean, that does really speak to me. That is his number 1 comfort pick. I think he is very good at it. Arguably the best Syndra in NA, and sure, you can go ahead and counterpick me, Jizuke. You've got 8 isolated deaths. I've got 4 solo kills. I've done that math. I'm going to get you this game.
I mean, the LeBlanc-Syndra matchup can be very explosive.
Yeah.
And Jizuke has had some very good LeBlanc games, as well as a few oopsie LeBlanc games. So both of these mid laners, it was the featured matchup, are going up against each other with their most picked mid laners.
It's going to be fun. It's always going to be fun, and that is very enjoyable to me, as Senna is added to the ban pool, and we'll see what else comes through. TSM do have to figure out what exactly they want to round out this comp. Their bot lane is left up here.
I want to see a Yumi ban here.
Oh, it's already been banned off earlier on.
Oh, I'm trolling.
That's okay.
Yeah. It's a really small cat face. It looks kind of human-like, so I think I got confused.
That's fine.
That's my excuse.
No worries. Tom Kench.
It's not like it's been the same icon for a year.
Yeah, this doesn't matter. You know, I wouldn't worry about it. It's not a big issue. One final ban for TSM's side. They know that there's an unanswered jungle pool, which is why the Jarvan was the earlier ban. Greg has added onto that one as well. Elise could, of course, come through as another highly prized jungler and one that Svenskeren has played. But his two most played, Elise and the Jarvan, are gone.
Braum Ezreal would give them a strong level 1 as well as some improved team fighting, which is very needed against the Ornn.
And I also wouldn't play a tank jungler when your backline is only Ezreal LeBlanc. I don't think you need Sejuani with this kind of team comp, so I think we'd look for something a bit more explosive. And like, I wouldn't even hate Kindred, even though it's like pretty out of the meta.
It's what they played last time against TSM Freak.
Yeah.
They just fell down to the Kindred. Would they do Sivir into Ezreal?
I feel like no.
I mean, a Trist is also a little bit...
Backline DPS.
Oh, yeah, it is.
If you just need reliable damage late game, Tristana basically is that champion. Has 2 self-healing abilities, decent base stats, you just build a bunch of crit. I think Tristana should almost actually never leave the meta in any meta where like you have 380 carry bans. And Taric comes alongside it. Now this could be very aggressive. Taric Trist has some real lane pressure, and they think they can just straight up brawl the Ezreal Braum in some cases, especially if Braum ever recalls out of the lane. Yeah, again, I really don't like Sedge when your mage is LeBlanc. I don't think you need a tank for her. She does her own thing already. I want Sven on something more explosive.
It is an interesting debate. I think it's going to be the Sedge because it does give them a very, very strong front line. Although it's like, to your point, what are they frontlining for?
Yeah.
For the pokers?
Yeah.
For the flankers? If they did Elise, they would have basically been saying, okay, the other team definitely wins late game.
That's true.
Now at least it's a little bit more up for debate.
That's why I said Kindred. You can scale up in the jungle.
Get nearly one shot by Syndra, but then he just press R.
I mean, yeah, and Lee Sin kicks you, and it's sad there as well. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't think there's like an obvious perfect answer. Regardless, Sejuani is in. It's going to make it a second play of the split here for the team. TSM again fighting for sole control of third place. Even Genesis the win, tie for third with TSM and a bunch of other squads. We got a very interesting bot lane here with the Trist Taric coming through. Bjergsen on absolute comfort on the Syndra.
I'm pretty excited to see Trist Taric. I've seen an increase in Kalista Taric lanes, actually. It's seeing a little bit of play in LCK, and I'm seeing it start to explode in solo queue. So I think Kalista Taric will have a little bit of a comeback because that also makes the initiation for the Taric better. But the Trist Taric, as you mentioned, if they do find that window to go aggressive, they can actually do it in lane.
All right, I want to see it. I want to see it happen. I would like to see the aggression come through. I think there's definitely the chance to do so. TSM's new look roster. They had a disappointing couple of years, a team that almost only knew winning. I mean, they had an unbroken streak of LCS finals for like 6 years or something. And then it was catastrophe after catastrophe, kept shaking up the roster. This time around, though, I think they have the players that can make it work. The Dardoch experiment was a huge question for a lot of people. Will he keep being toxic? Will he break another team down? Will he get benched yet again? So far, Dardoch has been an absolutely outstanding early game player. And TSM look like they're on an upward trend.
I've been very impressed with Dardoch's early games, and also from the sounds of it, his attitude so far in this split. It looks like even though there have been time for potential struggles for TSM, it seems like they've been able to bounce back. They've gone through such a weird split already, Freak. They started 0-2. They then had back-to-back 2-0 weeks into another 0-2.
Yeah.
And now we're looking for another 2-0. In fact, both of these teams, EG and TSM, are looking to find 2-0 weeks. EG beating Liquid earlier this week, TSM beating 100 Thieves earlier this week, and it's a big step forward with how compacted the middle of the standings are.
Yeah.
It's very important to win this game.
Really, really big deals. A ton of teams at 4 wins right now, and right now 4 puts you just outside of playoffs, or at least in a big tie for teams going you know, between 6th and like 9th place, and yeah, we're only halfway in and no closer to determining which teams are in or out aside from probably Cloud9 and CLG. Bjergsen is Syndra, yeah, 50 games, huge win record on it.
Better than Froggen's victor record that we flashed up in the last game.
I think Froggen was 2-12.
Yeah.
Bjergsen's 38-12.
Yeah, it was.
She's 2-13 now.
I know this game is in the past, but I didn't get a chance to talk about it in that game, and there's not much happening in this early game. Froggen actually, aside from like before last year where he had a decent year on Golden Guardians, had an incredibly rough go in the NALCS. There was a time where Froggen actually had the lowest LCS win rate of any active LCS player.
Yeah.
Like, it was a tough first couple of years for Froggen. But this year has obviously been more hopeful for Dignitas as they are sitting at 5-5 and currently tied for third, depending on the results of this game.
Yeah, in play position for Froggen and his team. DSM, of course, in the same spot right here, 5-4. Puts them temporarily, win percentage-wise, alone in third, but that's not always a fair way to say things. These Geniuses, again, wanted to go 50-50 as well in their record. Early push to bot lane goes DSM's way, very much to expectation based on champions. Much easier for Twitch to shove a wave down.
I will say, as Dardoch tries to make an invade to spot people out.
The rocket jump stun. They went in right away. They forced Bang's flash. The fact that they didn't see this coming and they lost flash speaks volumes to Bang not paying attention.
Wow.
That is so obvious.
And also, neither of these lanes were really thinking about killing the other team based on summoner spells. Like, TSM could have taken heal 80 carry, ignite Biofrost, but instead they did heal Taric, teleport 80 carry. And on the other side, you have, you know, a Guardian Braum with exhaust. So neither of those were like combat heavy lanes, but absolutely the level 2 power spike. That's not something where you want to be burning 2 summoner spells. So definitely a desync down bot, as you mentioned, from Bang and Zeyzal.
Now it happens, it's flashed down. We'll see if it gets punished, or with Ezreal now having Arcane Shift, it doesn't matter at all, and he cools it back down anyway. Regardless, though, it's a first wave pushed in, first couple levels pushed in for TSM, and we'll see what happens when the wave bounces afterwards as they finish pushing in the cannons. You can see on the top side, Kumo's got a big wave on his own side, putting in a lot of damage with Broken Blade. He's sidestepped the true damage twice now. Here's round 2. And as we mentioned, he has Arcane Shift, so it's very easy to get away from this.
Yeah, and Dardoch has told everyone where Svenskeren has been this entire early game, which is why Kabe and Biofrost can so freely rocket jump near the turret like that. That would be an incredibly risky move if Dardoch hadn't invaded to spot out Svenskeren. But I will say that all of that vision Dardoch got on Svenskeren did not come with any counter jungling. So Sven has actually had what I'd call a successful first 3 minutes, 45 seconds against Lee, just because he's up 9 CS.
Right, yeah, really good stuff. He's up 2 camps already, and an extra ward on top as well as they trade blows. Broken Blade a little bit low, but has that Doran's shield. Got that very early on, and feeling reasonably comfortable as this is 1 CS, but he'll be fine. He's going to hold the wave up without too much issue. Zuke and Bjergsen trading back and forth. Zuke with more CS, but more farm for Bjergsen to grab as he says, hey Sven, please shove the wave in for me. Done by some time. Dardoch going to join in pretty soon. You can almost make this play. As the Q is burned. Don't do it. He's going to try. Whoa, gets the shield and gets the flash out of Svenskeren. Nicely done by Dardoch.
Yeah, the fact that Biofrost had actually roamed up is what really enabled that play. To take the Q in with the Taric stun meant that the timing of Svenskeren's flash had to be incredibly precise. If he flashed too early, then the Taric stun and Lee Sin would have followed to kill for sure. He had to flash in that split second after Lee Sin landed and before the Taric stun detonated. Really, really close to first blood there.
Nice timing there. Good play. Turns out the Dardoch dive was nice, and that's a flash down on Svenskeren side. So EG missing 2 flashes so far in the early game. And mostly on some pretty solid outplays from TSM as the bot is pushed in, and Kabe not willing to freeze this. It's hard to freeze as Triss, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But if he wanted to hold the wave on his side, he could for about 1 wave. Decides, no. We're pretty much at BF sword money, 1230 gold in inventory. Hard shove the wave. It's a non-cannon wave. The next wave coming in is one with the cannon, so it's the ideal shove. You shove the wave before cannon, get 300 gold, you take the recall, BF sword comes in.
And for as much as we've had some close calls in the early game, where Kabe and Biofrost forced Bang's flash early, and Dardoch with the Biofrost roam nearly killed Svenskeren, EG has not broken at all. They have actually outfarmed TSM by a little bit in the early game. Mostly Svenskeren having that small gold lead. And also Kumo just like getting to be set up in the top lane against Doran has that slight early advantage. So nothing really of consequence has happened early on in this game, just a couple of close calls.
You see as the cannon wave is pushed in without much issue, thanks to BF Sword Tristana making wave clear effortless. Bang does have the TP to answer the TP that Kabe had kind of pushed in. Not much of a surprise down there as they trade blows. Bang had to go for Sheen, though. Doesn't get to stack the tier defensively. Does need combat stats to battle the shoving. Really big damage. Broken Blade! The straight up solo kill!
What? I don't think I've seen...
We need that replay.
An Ornn solo kill a set.
Oh my.
Like, I know that Ornn has some really good kill combos. Azael previewed some of them during the pre-show, but that is not something that you expect to see. Shout out to Broken Blade on that Ornn in this game.
Nicely done. Probably waited out the W cooldown from Kumo and said, okay, you can't put the shield back up. Let's go for round 2. Kumo didn't flash. Kumo didn't ult.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
It takes 2 to tango. You got to do a big outplay on Ornn, but you also shouldn't be getting solo killed on set here.
Half. He's fine. Kumo's fine right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, he had a fully stacked Conquer, so I was feeling pretty confident, but like Broken Blade has just enough mana for this combo. Gets a Brittle, ignites, like procs the one, and then still has his W up, so it was just a CC chain. The Kumo actually needed the flash, but didn't realize it.
Yeah, he's at half HP, and he's like, okay, yeah, I'll lose, you know, down to 10%, and then I'll shield, it'll be fine. But you're right, the CC chain was there.
I mean, there's a reason Set gets first picked anytime he's up.
Right.
It's because you don't lose lane with the pick. Unless... Ornn is also very strong. So
Ornn is very strong. Ornn was the first pick in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to say this one was player difference. I'm going to say Broken Blade definitely outplayed Kumo.
Yep, Broken Blade outplayed Kumo. Kumo needed a flash R1 as it turned out, and didn't do so. Right, keep in mind R1 makes you brittle, and then hitting the knockup triggers brittle for like the 12% max health damage. And then you're so close, the auto triggers brittle again, and well, that's enough damage already. Well done, good job, Broken Blade. And that is TSM feeling pretty comfortable. This hurts Stardock, by the way. He had such good first blood stats, and now he's missing another one.
There you go.
A significant drop in his early game rating. Yeah. How dare you, Broken Blade? Let me get in there. You should have played Karthus. That would have helped, you know?
Yeah, might have. I do want to see more Karthus, but I understand why teams need the kind of early game presence that sometimes Karthus doesn't provide.
Nice little punch there. Kumo trying to fight back, but plenty of farm still there for Broken Blade as he smiths up. I think he actually interrupted there because he already had those components. He wants Ruby Crystal. There we go. Sunfire Cape is boop.
On the way.
On the way.
Big wave stack, but it should be pretty simple for Broken Blade to clear this out.
Healthy boy. He's going to be in a pretty good spot overall as Dardock says, well, if you can solo kill him, I'll take Scuttle Crab. Imagine how easy this fight is.
Yeah, well, Svenskaren's trying to turn the tides of this mid lane. If he lands the ult, it would be good to burst damage. Bjergsen's brought Cleanse, though, so it's hard to get kills.
Biocross is here. Hello, that is 2v1. That is a Sejuani and a Boar. As Bristle walks back, and Svenskeren makes a 360 with the W.
Yeah, I mean, EG was a little bit earlier on this Rift Herald setup. They both roamed up their supports, but neither team willing to roam up their teleport on cooldown ADCs. So basically just staring each other down at Rift Herald and deciding that neither team is willing to start it, because that would probably mean the lost fight.
You can see Bjergsen as well, holding the wave on his side of the map.
Yeah.
Right? You saw not using any spells, so Zuka comes in and goes out QE. That gets juked, but Mitsuki has to play very far, has to have his control ward. Now a push towards the top side as the stun comes in. A charge back for Broken Blade. A lot of damage, but a fairly safe Ornn up there.
That might be the cadence that makes EG start this Rift, because they got Broken Blade low enough. Broken Blade actually just swapped to Clarity, used it really quick, so he could fill his mana pool. And that means he can then push Kumo out. That's actually really cute.
I didn't know you could take Clarity with Spellbook. Shows how much I use it. Yeah, that's definitely Clarity. I didn't even realize.
Yeah, I saw it really quick up on the top left of the UI, because he was basically pushed out of lane because he had low mana and about 60% health. Then he just popped Clarity and EG couldn't take the Rift. Now they're swapping down to try this Infernal Drake. Neither top laner can TP, so might see a fight here.
Level 9 for both of them as everyone starts coming down. TSM not quite able to knock them, but that's a stun. That's damage. That is a Terra Gold that comes down just after damage comes across.
Okay.
Dardock has to be respectful because Jizuke, W, he can RQE, but people will think that skill shot, so Dardock is safe. Jizuke has to flash because couldn't jump again. Finds a root, but only partially as Broken Blade walks it back.
Well, Broken Blade just got his teleport, so he came down immediately, so Kumo's actually getting free time. This is a lot of wasted map pressure by TSM. The fact that they couldn't get the Infernal despite burning the TP, this sets them actually really far behind if EG can capitalize, having that full TP advantage after Broken Blade gets nothing done with that TP.
3 plates. Solid wave gets all the waves. Yeah, that's 3 plates of gold directly earned by Kumo. So that's 360 right there. And 2 full waves of minions not earned by Broken Blade. That is a 500 gold swing for a TP that did not turn into anything. That is very large. It literally makes up the first blood difference. You can see a gold lead overall. I mean, that's also kind of the other 20 CS that Kumo's gotten over him, or the other 13 CS has gotten over him, but So that's pretty good champion, Jat.
I mean, imagine if he didn't get solo kill. He'd be crushing.
That's true.
Broken Blade tried to make the team play there, but a little bit of desync, so still waiting for this game to break open.
Well, at one point, TSM we know has had some good early games. So that one mistake has cost them their lead 12 minutes in, but that's okay. I think they still have plenty of tools to work back from. Honestly, any lane where Tristana is free farming is a lane where I'm happy as the Tristana. Got to burn a flash. As it turns out, it didn't mean anything, right? Bang for the summoner. Nothing came of it. So it's I would say it's still a mistake, but it's an unpunished mistake.
Sure.
Where I don't think there was ever like a fight that he could have had that they, darn, if only he had flash, he could have solo killed him. So we come out to the mid game where tier is now stacking, and we look back at the bottom lane. We haven't had much of a Rift Herald swap either so far in this game.
Well, the supports did swap up.
Right.
But then they just kind of scared each other down. Now, without the TP advantage, TSM again swaps up for Rift. If they get this and use it really quickly, they can still get the plates, as EG isn't really positioned to shove really hard in the bot lane. So it's likely going to be a Rift for first Drake move. And it's about how quickly can Dardoch make something happen with this Rift play top. They're actually teleporting and going for a lot. They want the turret.
TP going for a heavy play. Nice ult to bring Kumo to safety. Broken Blade now in turret range. Flash for the W, but he can't get the damage. That's an easy chase down. That is first turret going to drop in the top side, and a second kill for TSM.
Yep, they're going to do the... There's the Herald, okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say they're going to do the 2.5 plates and then let the Herald charge, and Dardoch had already been channeling it, so there's first turret. And Bjergsen has pushed mid lane, so that's a big swing in the favor of TSM.
1,300 gold lead now, TSM. 100 for killing the Herald, a solid about 900 if you count all the plates as well for the entire turret stuff. And bam, half HP and below on that one as well. So TSM feeling really good about how that play just shaked up.
Yeah, it's going to be 7 plates to 4 in terms of TSM versus EG, as the clock is about to ping 14 minutes. But yeah, here you can see the team is taking Drake. I think that's some inexperience by Kumo there. There's no need to check the tri-brush there, because the only thing that you're going to find is bad news. So why even look? It is the bad news, and then he's not in turret for it, so it makes the kill easier onto him.
Yeah. They even get the global announce that people are in the top river because you get the global announce of Herald dying, so did not need to flash forward. Painful stuff. And we'll see now as we crest into the mid-game. Plates have dropped, and we look at what's next on the field. Yes, EG got that Drake. They cleaned that one up. That is worth a little bit of stats right here. Infernal does mean attack damage and ability power, which will help 3 of them. Wait to see the next big play then, as there's no neutral objectives left to take for several minutes.
I mean, we saw the summoner choices in the bottom lane. Those two generally aren't trying to kill each other.
Nope.
Bjergsen and Jizuke looked like it could have been a more volatile matchup, but the junglers just haven't skirmished that much there. So it's ended up being pretty even. You don't really expect the Ornn versus Set to create much action, but that's actually where all of the action has been.
Yeah.
This is still one of those games, really with like the Taric Braum and Svenskeren being almost all of EG's initiation on the Sedge, even though it's against like a Syndra Taric, so going in is really difficult. What I'm trying to get at is it's going to be a little slow.
Yeah.
Like the drafts have been set up to be fairly slow, and I think TSM is just waiting for ornaments. They're waiting to hit level 14, 15 Broken Blade. You can see the Infinity Edge is already up. I'm curious to see if Bjergsen rushes Death Cap second just because he can, or if he'll take the less efficient Luden's upgrade on the Syndra. But that's what I think this game is waiting for.
Well, last time we cast together, chat, we talked about itemization for a while in the mid-game, and I got tweets saying thank you, so I'm going to do it again. I actually very much dislike Zeal upgrades on Tristana.
This might be a dive bomb.
We're going to wait then, because Jizuke gets nearly solo killed by Kabe, and in fact, with a little bit of shielding from Taric, does indeed take that fight over. So Svenskeren, though, over the wall, wants to find Dardoch, but he wards hops to safety and is completely safe. TSM 3-0 in kills, and Kabe still pushing the bot lane.
There's the tempo push. If they're able to get side lane kills on Jizuke the instant he swaps out of mid, that can accelerate things. It's hard to push in without minions, though. Really want to finish that turret.
Yeah, a couple of shots in. Pretty good shielding. Lee Sin and Taric can combine for some of that, and that's going to feel really comfortable now. TSM looking really good here.
I'm actually kind of curious to see how Kabe did that. It's probably because Jizuke felt trapped with the flank coming in behind him. It's TSM finishes this turret as well to extend their lead.
Looking good.
Then we'll get to Tristana Zeal items after this replay.
Yeah, well, she's going to buy a Zeal here on the reset.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about it. Watching this here, he's just trying to clear the wave, but then Bjergsen's seen on the control ward as Jizuke has gone forward. So at that point, it's real bad.
Yeah, and that's an unofficial solo kill, but it really is a solo kill.
Yeah.
He got a shield after the fact so that he could get assist money.
Yeah, worth it. Another isolated death for Jizuke, but there's the Zeal. Why don't you like Zeal on Trist?
So Tristana basically doesn't have any meaningful attack speed hooks in her kit. You will always get a 4-hit E off because you have rapid fire. Okay, so that's one, like compared to like a Varus
And
or a
rapid
Kaisa.
fire, which you max second, is a massive attack speed buff. What does it get up to, 100%?
I think it goes like 110%.
Okay.
So essentially, Tristana has the most bonus attack speed natively of any conventional marksman not named Senna. That's an asterisk. We'll talk about that way later on when Senna's in a game. But Tristana has the least need for attack speed of any AD carry, I think literally in League of Legends.
Yeah, so you want Essence Reaver so you can get your Q up more and also have more damage.
Yeah, and even something like Storm Razor or whatever, but essentially your value for attack speed, your DPS increase for attack speed is very low compared to other champions. When you have no bonus attack speed, 5% AS and 5% more damage. That's a kick, that's damage, Zazel's fine.
I also like whenever you talk about AD carry itemization, we see fights.
We do.
So we should keep doing this.
Okay, well, they're seeding up the mid lane. Meanwhile, if you have 100% bonus attack speed, 5% AS is really 2.5% more damage. Whereas the value of like plus AD didn't change.
Yeah, okay.
So you're getting comparatively less and less percent damage out of attack speed the more you already have. Thus, on Trist, don't bother buying attack speed.
Okay, and TSM's pushing the mid lane with Cloud up. EG's not really getting anything here. They're not getting river control or mid control. Normally, if a team pushes mid, you're at least setting up vision around Drake, but TSM is actually controlling everything.
Oh, a little bit of poke. TSM feeling very comfortable getting kind of everything they want. They have yet to clear up a Drake themselves.
Good control words there by EG, though. If they're looking to find a fight, you got to lead with ult.
Oh, it lands for the slow. It's still damage. Is there a play to be had? Terrible comes down, and TSM going to feel fairly safe, but they have to disengage off the ultimate. EG still got their pokes down. They're feeling reasonably comfortable. Jizuke spots them. Redemption heal's nice, though.
And the Ornn engage is also going to be nullified by the Braum. You got to see an example of that now. Basically, Zazel can never use his E until Braum presses R, and you just hold your E backwards on Braum, and it stops the Ornn from coming through. Really interesting right here, actually, how I think TSM could have still tried to fight here. It would have been a low percentage play, but instead the Drake goes over to EG. This has been early Drake control, I think, has been TSM's Achilles heel this split.
Right.
Where they're winning a lot of early games, but they haven't been able to get to Dragon Soul. In fact, other teams have gotten Dragon Soul on them. And that play right there is one where with that lead, you kind of have to just get the Drake. But they're unable to do so with enough poke coming in from EG's kind of fake engage that now EG is 2 Drakes away from a win condition.
Right. Yeah, and Mount Soul is very good. It's raw stats. It's one of the ones that I think can directly combat a gold lead. It generally maths out to about 800 gold of health per champion. That makes up the gold lead in a very literal sense, as long as you, again, care about raw HP, but every champion kind of does. Syndra on the enemy team, you definitely care about a raw HP shield. So that is something really worth considering. You can undo a lot of the gold that Bjergsen has, and we'll see if that comes in later on as that ticks forward. We do have a lot of tanks per team, so even the Mountain Drakes themselves will be valuable as time moves on. TSM, to your point earlier, I think, tends to prioritize the early objectives that are worth raw gold, right? Heralds just turn into gold, right? Turret plates literally just turn into gold. That's the ones they've been focusing on.
It is hard to convert second Herald, though, once you've already taken down outer tiers. Like, the commitment to get in for a second tier turret is high, and also the reward is not massive unless they get it in mid. Like, getting the second tier turret in either the top or the bot lane is much less valuable if the mid's not down because it's too dangerous to push through that far. So they're going to look for a pick likely, and if they can get one, then they drop the Herald mid. But for now, they're just bouncing waves.
So right now you can see EG's vision overall, and it's almost nothing past the river. Won by the slain red buff camp. Doesn't really spot anything, so has to be a little respectful. You can see Bang farming from max range with Qs, then walks back afterwards. Okay, that's a melee minion for me. and you shove in the wave, okay, I go for the next one. But it means TSM gets to take the top river. They get to control around the Baron pit. That's been spawned for the last minute and a half. There's a control ward right at the foots. The feet of Baron. And here comes Biofrost to the front yet again. Slowed down, but safe. Bang ult, tags 2.
Oh, there's some Ornn fighting going down bottom. I just saw the ult go off.
Kumo's knocked up yet again, then slammed back down by the pillar, and suddenly Kabe is there. A dunk towards the back line. Kumo has to run. The flash follow means a knockup. They find the slow as well, and next bell basically kills. Kabe's almost going to be with Rocket up in a second. There's the auto, there's the kill. Kabe is on a killing spree, feeling comfortable now for himself.
Definitely a rough game for Kumo. TSM continually finding him in the side lanes. What can they do with it, though? Because, yes, Kabe spent his teleport there, and it's a kill for a turret. Now would be the window to drop Rift mid, and TSM go for the second tier. That's why they're grouped.
Zardak gonna chase back the Ezreal slightly. Yeah, this would be the time to summon. Goes for it now, and Wardhouse back to his squad. This turret is going to fall, but the question is there a battle afterwards? It's a 4v5 until Kumo respawns. Mid 2-2 definitely drops, and TSM able to walk away and take a Wolfgang.
I mean, they saw Jizuke in the side lane, so TSM knows that they can't actually get outnumbered in that play. Jizuke's still pushing the side lane, actually, so all outers are now dead. And there's no way he's going to be able to get that turret.
Yeah. Well,
there was an interview earlier in the week where Zeyzal talked about some of the communication issues that EG have been having, and this is actually looking like it's playing out in-game, where like the Svenskar and Kumo Zeyzal team have a plan, Jizuke has his own plan, which is off script, and then Bang also has his own plan, which is generally a little bit different as well. So we saw Bang ult the river during the first early engage, doesn't really create much pressure. We see Svenskar wanting to flank a team fight from the Raptor pit, but Jizuke's not recalled at all, so they end up giving 2 turrets, and now they're down about 5,000 gold in the game.
Looking more and more like a TSM win, even though they haven't grabbed any drakes for themselves. They know a Sedge is there. Nice sweeper spots that went out, but Dardoch burned his Q for some vision play. Just looking to see if anyone was in that side brush. No one was, but wanted to be safe and not sorry. Wasn't going to be a kill anyway, so I don't blame him for that in the slightest, as mid is cleared yet again. Kabe going towards the Mercurial Scimitar. Has the finished Molten Edge, thanks to Broken Blade, and a second upgrade for a teammate is available as well. Only one available is Redemption or Bjergsen's Luden's Echo. And he finishes Void Staff second item, has that right away. And as long as it's sitting front line, it's fine, but if he's going for Ezreal, it's a waste of gold.
It's going to be so hard for EG to kill Broken Blade in a fight. The Iceborne Gauntlet Ezreal and the 1.5 item LeBlanc is pretty much all of their damage. So they're in a really rough spot.
It's going to be a tough one, and there we go. TSM uncontested, just completely take over this side of the map. Actually goes for the Black Cleaver upgrade onto Dardoch first. I wonder if Bjergsen is going to go for like third item death cap, and he's like, yeah, don't worry, get me at level 17 or something.
It's definitely slightly more efficient at this case. Fun fact, actually.
Yeah.
A fan told me this in the LCS studio after one of the games. If you use your redemption, then upgrade the redemption, the active CD comes back.
Right.
Yeah, so because it's a new item, and it has its own item cooldown, basically. So you're very rarely going to see that come in, but if an Ornn's going to walk up to upgrade a redemption, just use it somewhere, because it's coming back for free.
Yeah, same thing happens with like QSS going into Scimitar. I think it also happens with like Hex Drinker up to Maw as well. Every once in a while you're like, oh great, I have it again. That's nice, it's going to help me survive something. Even though the items themselves normally share a cooldown. Well, over the wall they go. TSM looking to take over Baron as it's the next major objective. 26 minutes in. Very large goal lead. Fight the top side. Oh, wow. Jizuke made it not even close.
That's the other side of the Jizuke, I don't know, carousel, like coin. It's something that goes round and round, and sometimes you get the big play.
It's back to tails.
But it's a trade.
Jizuke is like definitely dead here. That's a slow, that is a knockup.
Try something.
He's gonna go right into Kabe's face.
Yeah, but, you know, they got a turret off it too, probably.
Okay.
They got multiples. They got the set turret and the broad turret.
You know, I take that. Jizuke is a genius who is looking 7 steps ahead of TSM.
How do they know what he's gonna do?
Yeah.
You know,
my teammates don't even know what I'm gonna do.
There we go.
Because he knows. There's a Swain quote. He says something like, they're 3 steps away from knowing I'm 5 steps ahead.
Okay.
It's a long way of saying I'm 8 steps ahead of them. That's Jizuke right there.
It was. Also, I hadn't noticed that the Void Staff came in for Jizuke, which is one of the things that enabled him to have that burst onto Bjergsen. He must have been sitting on a ton of gold. I could have sworn he didn't have the Void.
Yeah, 74 MR on Bjergsen at this point, 2 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
First game through.
Jizuke had farmed up about basically enough to full buy a Void. He was out on the map for that long. Then goes back, makes his way to that brush before one-shotting Bjergsen.
Yeah. Oh, see the next spikes come through, going for a CDR. We see a lot of Banshees builds, more and more on mid laners here. That Codex could be the same thing here for Bjergsen, going for some more matches, which would definitely make Void worth it, obviously. You add like 65 MR for a Banshees. Stonies can also work, right? It's a good way to immune a lot of damage. You can see it telegraphed forward. Svenskeren, oh, that's enemy champions. Jump over the wall instead. Despite losing that 1 kill, lose a couple turrets, TSM still feel comfortable. 3,500 gold lead. A little bit of poke from Bang, and yeah, actually,
I mean,
nice shot.
Look at the sides. EG is playing 1-3-1 pretty well, and it's difficult for TSM to start a fight. Like, the Ornn ultimate gets immediately blocked by the Braum, and then there's an Ezreal sitting there. So, like, the fact that TSM hasn't responded to these side lanes, they don't have a plan. They either need to be pressuring Baron or matching these waves, because I don't know if they can actually dive this mid turret. They're pushing up. They're going to try to just take this turret.
Big stun, but no one's there to answer on a comment. The ult does nothing. They kick back beautifully on the 2, and there's Kumo flashing in for a pull, but it gets nothing. Jardock ward hops away. The turret is at 12%. Top tier 2 will die to minions. Jizuke actually stops the recall, says, let's knock that turret down. End of the day, nothing gained for TSM. Top tier 2 is dead.
This is really good for EG. It is dangerous to send 2 people into side lanes, but they can block TSM's engage for the most part.
This time Jizuke is recalling. Broken Blade just charges forward to make them disengage and cracks the inhibitor. Now the play is towards Sejuani. Svenskeren going to kite backwards. Bjergsen has burned the ult.
Oh, they didn't block the
Ornn goes in for a little bit of damage, and it's a hit towards Kumo as well, who stays alive on top. Jizuke wants it, but Redemption is going to undo that damage. TSM feeling comfortable, ready to crack the mid inhibitor, and they will indeed do so.
So all things considered, it was dicey for a little while. Breaking the mid inhibitor, it can be deemed a success for TSM. Grouping so strongly in the mid lane, even though EG did accumulate some side lane gold, ultimately breaks it without needing to get a Baron buff, and now they can try and turn their attention to the side lanes in terms of moving this game forward. But the gold did creep up very close. We're in for a game.
Definitely are. Look at this one. Now, TSM. Broken inhibitor. That's one of the safest inhibs to lose. It's very easy to get back to mid and clear that out. That's not much of a problem overall, but it's still passive lane pressure that EG does have to spend time dealing with. TSM, second Mountain Drake's up in 5 seconds, but they have sent Bjergsen up to the top lane. So Mountain is very achievable here. Bjergsen's not seen Envision just yet, but he's about to be. And EG get a very easy, very clean third Drake.
How does this keep happening for TSM? The deprioritization of the win condition. Now EG, from a losing spot, is 1 Drake away from getting Mountain Soul. TSM is taking a trade, and they have to get a conversion now. So they've put the control out on Baron. They've taken Scuttle Crab. They kind of need to get a fight or a lot of Baron pressure out of this. Otherwise, EG's 1 step closer to winning.
Whoop, that's the cue that's landing. You know, chat, I love reading chat during the games, and they're fighting a little bit. But the 1 Drake that Biofrost pinged is the one that TSM got.
Okay.
6 minutes ago, he pinged Mountain Drake spawning in 1 minute, and they grabbed that Drake. No one on TSM pinged the Drake timer this time around, whereas Svenskeren actually like, odd clockwork is like, hey, it's 1 minute away, I'm pinging this, make sure you guys reset. You can communicate without pings, of course. We're all aware they're on voice chat together. Yeah. But TSM aren't even pinging timers.
You definitely have to wonder what's happening. Jizuke snuck behind. If he can get the 1 shot on Bjergsen,
gets the knock up. This could be damage on a Bang, but he's gonna go pretty safe. Nice shot by Zazel. The ult comes in as well. Svenskeren finds Bjergsen and forces the cleanse away. Big damage going across, but again, the Redemption's gonna look good. They're healthy. Jizuke now on a ward, gonna knock this one down. Has to respect Bjergsen. And doesn't want to burn the ult to knock down a single ward,
So multiple ults burned on the side of EG. Set, Sej, Ezreal, and Braum. Only the Ornn ult for TSM, so they are 5 strong here, but Svenskeren can steal.
Jizuke burns W, might go in for R in a second, kites back, 2.5k. This is the moment! And it's picked up by Dardock. A good spike comes in, kick back, looking at the re-engage. Already a 1-for-0. Kumo is alive, puts the W, but no one will die. TSM claim a 3-for-0.
This could be the game. They have the inhibitor broken in the mid lane, and top and bot waves are actually already pushing with minions, so they're going for at least 3 inhibs. It took a while, Freak, but it looks like TSM might have just broken it open.
This is going to look really nice for them as they already pushed down. And look at that one. That is a very dead inhibitor. Looking now at the first of the turrets. 15 seconds on most of the important respawns. Jizuke chunked out with just an auto attack. This turret's at half HP. That turret's gone. Second turret's going down as well. How do you stop them? Bang can't possibly have the damage. Push down to the Nexus. Quick CC comes in. Here's the respawns. They're going to try their harder, but the Nexus will fall, and TSM gets sole control of third place.
Their third 2-0 week in 5 weeks lands TSM at 6-4. And as you mentioned, control of third place. And Freak, I am so conflicted about this team. Where there were definite moments in that game where you saw TSM had a large advantage and you're wondering why they weren't controlling Drakes. But you can also take the other side of it and say, hey, they just had an 8-kill to 1 death. Literally 1 death in a 32-minute victory on route to a 2-0 week. So there are positives for TSM in that they are winning, and that when they were pushed to make a mid lane fight or a Baron 50-50, they took it and they executed. But there will always be that other side where you're wondering, how did EG get 3 Drakes in a game where they could not win a team fight?
Yeah, that 1 kill unassisted. I very rarely see games with no assists on the losing team. We've had perfect games. No assist games is a little curious. Jizuke got that solo kill. That looked nice. But hey, the question is, all right, EG, you're now at the bottom. If we're talking about the middle of the pack being the super something, EG are alone at their record. No one else is 3-7 like them. They are decidedly now below. They are alone in 9th.
Yeah.
8 games to play. They've got to make up that track record.
Yeah, I think it's definitely interesting in the way that the entire LCS feels so close.
Yeah.
And we got 4 weeks left. This was the last game of week 5, and TSM is starting to put it together, but it's just going to be interesting to watch all of their games.
We are slowly stratifying, right? The obvious first, the obvious 10th. You've now got 2nd and 3rd breaking apart and a 9th breaking apart, right? And it might stratify a little bit more from here. So will be fun to watch in the further weeks. But now after the break, we have an interview with Pastry Chime and Broken Blade. Then the Bud Light Breakdown reveals the MasterCard Player of the Week at the State Farm Analyst Desk.
And that sounded exhausting, Freak. Apparently there's a Red Bull here for you that I'm told I should be giving you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Caffeine is tasty.
All right, there we go.
See you soon.
Welcome back. I'm here with Broken Blade after another victory. It's 2-0 once again for TSM. Now, I'm not much of a top laner, but is Ornn supposed to solo kill Set?
I think Ornn is just really good right now, and he did a mistake. I punished it. It was a very simple mistake that he did, but I punished it. And yeah, I think it's just the Ornn level 6 power spike. I think the full combo deals like around 750 damage, and if you don't respect that, you're just dead. And I mean, I don't know if he played that matchup, but it seemed like he didn't.
Have to agree. Now, it's been kind of inconsistent for TSM, even though you are looking strong. Do you feel like you're finally finding your stride as a team?
I think we are still experimenting. We're kind of like using Spring as experimenting some games, using different strategies. Sometimes we play for top side, sometimes we play for bot side, sometimes mid jungle. So I think we are improving rapidly. I think since week 1, our week 1 was really bad, and we're getting better and better each week.
And now that we've had more than half the season, you mentioned, of course, experimenting and you have new players. What has it been like playing with a new jungler in Dardoch?
Honestly, I think he's very similar to me in terms of being really confident. Like, he tells me I can play X jungler and I'll be 1v9ing every game. And I have kind of like the same mentality. I have like, when I think I can play a champion, it can be team or top, and I would be confident carrying a game. And he has the same mentality as me. So I really, really like that mentality, and I think he's a very, very good player.
And then, of course, so they have been struggling, but recently picking up more wins. Your next opponent is Team Liquid. Any thoughts on that matchup?
I think Team Liquid is looking a little shaky. I mean, obviously, they had some issues which were a bit tragic, but I think we should get the dub.
Seems like it's so far so good. Thank you very much, and congratulations on the win today. We're going to throw it over for the Bud Light breakdown.
Thank you so much, Pastry. And after that victory, our 2 winners of the day will be facing off against one another soon enough. But first, let's go ahead and take a look at the standings here on the Bud Light breakdown, because still soup in the middle, and I do that just to piss off Mark, but it's also a stretch from the bottom towards the top if you are Team Liquid 4-6.
I mean, just with that single win in EG's loss, there's now a 4-way tie at 6, when just earlier today was a sole possession of 9th place. So I think Team Liquid's going to be pretty happy with how things actually look at the end of this week, considering how dire it looked after their loss to EG yesterday.
I mean, actually, wasn't the soup like the 2nd through 5th place teams? Now it's like the 6th through 9th
It was the
team?
2nd through 9th for a little bit. It was just CLG and C9 not in the soup.
So now, is this technically cool, or is it hotter now that it's
I
hot?
think the metaphor's dead. I think I
less
regret ever saying that.
Yeah.
I'm really happy Mark hates the soup comments, because now everyone loves it.
Well, we'll shift it from 1S in soup to schedule in a whole different direction. We already prefaced that TSM and Team Liquid will be facing one another for the 2nd game of the day on Saturday. But is there any particular match that either of you are drawn to?
FlyQuest C9.
Yeah.
Best 2 teams in the league right now going to play out. I hope to finally see C9 get challenged. Even if FlyQuest can't win, can they last longer than like 35 minutes? That's like honestly what I'm
That's
looking
the win
for.
condition, or not win condition, but success condition.
Yeah, that's what feels good to me as a team playing C9, is like we didn't get absolutely train wrecked.
I think you're the only person that will feel good about that. No one else in the world is going to be like, wow, 35 minutes and lost after 35? Great.
At that point, it would be abnormal to last that long against C9.
It's fair. It's a weird, happiness, but
I mean, if you can win, great.
Yeah, there you go.
I just don't think it's going to happen, so.
There's a certain accolade, though, that many C9 members have received. And before we hand it off over to the Bud Light League Lounge, we have to give a congratulations to our Massacre Player of the Week this week, which is FlyQuest Power of Evil, bringing that much more spice to their matchup that will be kicking off next Saturday.
Yeah, no surprise. Great Orianna game. And then more impressively was the Corki game that came after this. Absolutely dominating. Had 32,000 damage over the course of the game.
Yeah, both those clips are really fun because you normally don't see Orianna getting solo kills because she's such a very, you know exactly what she's going to do. She's not too flashy of a champion, so calculating damage is not too hard. And then in that last clip, you see Corki actually engaging a fight. And that's also, I guess, all right, technically Ignar initiated it, but you saw the Corki go and fly across the team fight, and that's a really fun play for Corki because you'll see that happen a lot, and the Corki just gets one shot, and they're like, all right, I'm not going to do that anymore. So I really like him doing it once, or doing it this time, and I'm sure he's died a lot, but he hasn't
I mean, he's learned. He started greeting out for the Penta in that fight where he starts ignoring the Aatrox to try and get the next kill.
Yeah, actually, he lost the Penta because of that. For sure.
So last week, Niski was this. What is PoE going
I
to
think
be?
I saw a leak. I've seen what his pose is, I think. So I don't
So
want
you don't
to
get to guess.
It involves, like the heart thing with your hands and thumbs.
Oh.
That thing. Something like that.
I always find it very entertaining that PoE has evil in his name, but is usually pretty kind-hearted and natured, and seems
one
to
of
be
the
with
He
his
should be on
potential.
Evil
for sure.
Geniuses.
Yeah.
Then it would be perfect.
Well, in the end, he is part of FlyQuest, so you'll have to catch him there. And as far as what we have going on right now, be sure to tune into twitch.tv/BudLight to see Skara, Fed, and Yvonne on Bud Light League Lounge alongside Riv and Avali as always. But for now, from myself, the casters, and the entire live broadcast crew, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week for more of the LCS. Good night.
I saw that.